What's up, everybody? This is KARAK with ACG, and I'm here with Johnny and Abzi for the Best Gaming Podcast, number 445. However, let me check if Silver's coming. I haven't talked to Silver in a couple days, and, he said he wasn't going to make it one time, but he might be able to make it this time. Let me ping him. I thought...
How's everybody doing today?
Can you come? Sorry, guys. We're going to check to make sure.
Nice.
What shirt is that, Abzi? What's that say?
Looney Tunes.
Oh, Looney Tunes. Oh, gotcha. It looked almost like a Rockstar energy drink or something. I got the ACG one.
Oh,
what do you got?
Shit,
what do you got,
don't
Johnny?
say that though.
ACG as well, I think.
This is my
that's yours.
my merch with
Your
like
merch.
some cat.
Well, pimp it.
stuff
What is it?
It's well, if people go to my channel, Twitch, Johnny Plays Live, there's a button for the merch there.
Which
if
one
you
is
want to
that?
get some of the cat merch.
Cat merch?
Yeah, it's just some comfy cats.
Excellent. We're going to talk about a bunch of stuff. I'm just going to check on the back end if old Silver is going to make it. I want to say thanks to all the new members. I think we have over 250 new YouTube members. Thank you very much. YouTube has actually ended up saving the day a little bit on that, which is weird. I don't know what to say.
So people can get access to the Discord, right?
Yeah, through that. It seems like Patreon's better for everybody, but YouTube is easier for a lot of people. Just hit a button and you go in through YouTube. And once I started mentioning it, I didn't realize how many people we already have through that. Like Bitlerist is through there, Molroy, a bunch of people. And then it just started working out. So it's quite easy for people to be able to jump in, which is nice. Speaking of the Discord, I want to shout out a bunch of people in the Discord, but I'm not going to do it by name because there's too many. But I did ask a bunch of you guys your thoughts on Suicide Squad, Yakuza, Palworld, Unleashed. Did I get Unleashed right, the name? I did.
Enshrouded.
Are you kidding me?
There was an attempt.
I was so excited. I really was happy with myself. All right. Anyway, I've already messed it up once. I got that one wrong. I apologize. But I asked them all for their ideas, their thoughts, if they liked those games, and what they were getting out of them. And there were some really cool, I would say, general thoughts I sort of expected from like the Suicide Squads. I don't want to say it. Unleashed.
What?
I'm going to call it Unleashed again.
Enshrouded.
Enshrouded.
It's a very generic name.
It is pretty generic, and we were fucking around with it in the chat as well, which screwed me up. But I got a lot of good ideas from what people enjoyed, but the big one that surprised me was Yakuza, which we're going to talk about a bunch today. We're also going to talk about the death of Deus Ex. So Deus Ex, we talked about this for a couple months. Unfortunately, it looks like it was like firmly put to death, I guess, here recently. But Deus Ex looks to be 100% no more. And one of the things I want to talk about is what we think might have been, or what we would have liked to have seen after Mankind Divided, right? That was the last one? Mankind Divided? Yeah.
Yep.
And what we would have liked to have seen. So thanks to everybody for joining. You absolutely rock. I haven't seen or heard from Silver, so I'm assuming he won't come. First of all, let's talk about what we've been playing. Johnny? What? No, I talked to you last Friday, so we'll go with Abzi first. Abzi, what are you playing?
Two games that I'm just deeply addicted to. The first one is Yakuza, which we'll talk about in a bit. And long story short, I have around 50 hours in the game, and for the past 20 hours, I haven't done a single main story quest. I got to like chapter 6 where like everything kind of opens up, almost everything, like a lot of stuff. I don't know what the hell they're gonna hit me with later, but you start being able to like change jobs, you unlock the island and all that big stuff. And so for the past 20 hours, I've just been, and I've been lost in a game. I've been lost in this game, in a sense that I don't get lost in many games that way, where there's just so much stuff to do that like kind of interacts with a lot of other stuff. So I'd be like, oh, I need to do this. Oh, but this helps that. So let me just go do that. Oh, I need to upgrade my weapon. Oh, I need to buy a weapon. I go to the mall. Oh, but the thing is right next to that. I'll just play this minigame. Oh, I just did a side quest. I unlocked this guy. Oh, now this guy can come to my resort. I'll go back to my resort, take him as a guest. There's a lot of that shit. Last time I was this lost in a game with a lot of stuff to do with Starfield. Not a lot of games really have the ability to just like have like this breadth of stuff, you know what I mean? And I feel like the game design is just so, it's crafted in a way where like everything you do counts towards something. Even if you're just like fucking around with arcade in the Sega, like it'll increase your kindness or your passion or whatever. And you know, I've just been, you know, I've just been doing a lot of different stuff, a lot of ADHD. It really does not help my ADHD. And the second game is Tarkov, where in the sense it's the same type of thing, where in Tarkov, you know, it's in a pretty good state. It's one of the better wipes this time around. They added like this new map where it's only levels 1 to 20 can go in. And it's kind of an easier map, but it's still like a city, and there's a lot of like action in it. So, you know, a lot of new players might enjoy that. So they did some. It's still not that accessible, but they did some stuff. But yeah, it's in the same sense where like everything, like throwing a grenade, running, being heavy, walking slowly, you know, using an assault rifle or an SMG or anything, everything counts, like gives you progression towards something and makes you like a better person. And then you go in and loot and, you know, take stuff. Like I'm just very addicted to these things. I do want to say though, for Yakuza, buying the Ultimate Edition was a huge mistake. Huge mistake. I kind of went for it because it's like Yakuza, and I'm like, just like, okay, just give me the most expensive version or whatever, because I'm stupid. And I'm like, okay, I love Yakuza, you know, it's not like I'm gonna, you know, regret it, but I do regret it because they give you materials and stuff which streamline stuff that is like, for example, they give you like materials out to like upgrade your weapons, right? And I just stash them away. I don't even use them, so that's okay. But on the island, one of my favorite things, the island is like kind of like a Stardew Valley where you build up a resort and stuff. But one of my favorite things is starting from zero, completely zero. I love working my way up from having nothing, you know, because you go in there and it's literally trash everywhere, and you feel like you're supposed to have nothing. But they just blasted me with like 1,000 of each type of material. And I found a way to kind of circumvent that, where I just built the same building over and I just sold it, and then I bought it again and sold it. So that I'm kind of at zero, but that also leveled up there's like a building level where the higher level you have, the more stuff you can build. And that basically made me start at like level 30 from that. So that sucked. And I there's no way to like opt out of the extra shit they give you. I just really dislike that. Aside from like the, you know, NG plus being locked behind, you know, all that stupid stuff. But yeah, that's what I regret. But amazing game, yeah, loving it. Yeah.
Okay, excellent. What about you, Johnny? What have you been playing?
I've been playing that too. I'm not as far. I'm chapter 4 at the moment, but yeah, it's been great. Coming off the other Yakuza, we talked about it last week. This is it kind of feels like
the man who
erased his name, Gaiden, like a drag, you know, like it's a title like this. And this feels like a really more thought out game, or I don't want to say like that, but like a more
it's a main game.
It's like, yeah, it's a more
Gaiden's a side
game.
story. It's like a prequel.
The thing is, there are so many like intertwined systems. And so you discover something new, and then, oh, guess what? That has interplay with, you know, all the other stuff you've already discovered.
Oh, you have no idea.
It's like it's layers upon layers. Yeah, and you know, I'm still chapter 4, so it's been fantastic so far. And I personally think the voice acting in English is excellent. The prior one
that's good to hear. That's good to hear.
You know, the prior one I did Japanese. But this one, because I do like Ichiban's voice acting, you know, when I played Like a Dragon, I like that. So I just went for the English one. And overall, I think the cast is fantastic. Sure, you know, Kiryu has the iconic Japanese voice that's irreplaceable. But still, like, I thought it was perfectly fine, and I've been really enjoying it.
Anything other than Yakuza currently? Is that your main?
No, just some League of Legends, because there's a new season, lots of new items. It's very exciting for us League enjoyers. So I've been playing a bit of that too.
I like how you gave that little.
Who enjoys League?
It was like for you guys, you two, not me.
I had to add it in there because I know, like, for you, it's just scoff. Like.
Hey,
even people who play League every day hate the game, so I'm trying to.
It is weird that I do hear that. I know Johnny doesn't, but I did hear. I think it was Cyanide.
Some people have a really bad relationship with the game.
Yeah, very toxic relationship.
It's almost like a codependent, abusive relationship. You know what I mean?
Let's just jump into more Yakuza stuff. I was talking to everybody in chat, and this is the first. So personally, I think this is going to sound weird. I haven't played it yet, other than an hour. I didn't get a code, which is no issue because I didn't have power, so I wasn't going to be able to review this. But I have watched Wannabe Dev and Reg play probably combined 40 hours together, separate, 20, 30 hours. And it's easily the best, most watchable Yakuza ever, to the point to where they've repeated each other's content, and in no way, shape, or form have I been bored ever, which has never happened to me in a game that I can remember. I don't even watch my little, Gamer's Little Playground when they do the gamer movies, and I want to bone up on an Uncharted story. I don't even watch those all the way through. I've watched everything they've done. Every single thing. And there's a couple things that I've taken away, which was fun to not review this, which is that, yeah, everything's interconnected. Every fucking thing in that game is interconnected. It's ridiculous.
Even picking up trash, you can earn points to like get stuff.
Yeah. And some of them have 2 or 3 interconnections. So it interconnects with this over here, but also you might get a job for it. And we're not going to spoil jobs, people, or anything like that. But there are a number of jobs that are, I mean, it's ridiculous. And some of the jobs are just random. I saw people getting jobs where I'm like, I don't even know how he got it, which I'm also okay with. Some were on purpose. Some were just, there's a random guy that I found in an alley who did this or did that.
Some remnant stuff, basically.
Yeah,
like
so that's exactly, that was brought up. Remnant. Yeah, Remnant was brought up. Was like, is there maybe there's some more hidden stuff too, even like Remnant, where you have to wait around or, graphically, it's also easily the best. But the best thing about this Yakuza, bar none, man, and it was time. It was time. They divorced that ancient-ass, crooked, fucking gnarly city and got a new one. And it's like a friend who gets out of a divorce and they show up and they're shiny new kid. And they're like, dude, it's like Harrison Ford, Callista Flockhart, He's wearing an earring and he's fucking singing. And you're like, dude, this is magic. I just want to get this out. It is magic, man. People do not realize I loved the Yakuza games. And I got into them late. But the new place is fucking gorgeous.
And it's mapped like very well.
It's mapped better.
To the real thing.
It's gorgeous. It's map mess, by the way. I saw the map, and it's easily makes Ubisoft games look like basic. So when we bitch about games, I'm going to bring this game up as being map mess beyond belief. But all that being said, holy fuck, man. It's never a noodle shop, dude. Every shop they go to is a new place. It's
and not only is exploration really cool and rewarding, but re-exploration also introduces new stuff sometimes, like just walking about the city again, which is really cool.
Yeah, Johnny, you were gonna say something when I was going.
No,
off.
Just that it's a breath of fresh air. The moment you leave the the starting town and you're there, it's big, it's diverse. There's a bunch of stuff. Like you say, it's not just Popo stores all over.
Oh man, and they addressed a lot of. Oh, sorry, I thought you were done.
No, it's all good. And what I was gonna say, the meme is the one with Nicolas Cage where he has like fresh air in his face, and he's like, that's like the feeling I got.
Yeah,
I feel like they addressed a lot of the issues in the combat that I had with the 7th. Mm-hmm. Because a lot of I have this problem with a lot of turn-based games. Okay, and a lot of turn-based games, you spend like 80 to 90% of your time when you're grinding mobs hitting attack, and you just go attack. They give you cool moves, but you don't really use them until like the bosses.
Exactly,
and then usually the bosses are immune to those anyways.
You're saving your mana for
but they addressed that very well, I think. First of all, with the idea that there's a whole movement in the combat now. There's a lot of contextual stuff. You can grab objects next to you. You can do bond stuff. You can hit someone towards like a companion and they hit them somewhere else. Cars. A lot of stuff is very interactive and very cool. So it's not just pressing attack when you do go to those fights where you don't have to use a lot of skill. There's a lot of really cool, neat ways, to spice it up. And for lower level enemies, you can just press one button and they're dead.
Yeah,
which is really, you don't have to like sit through that. So I thought that was very, very.
I did find it funny that you basically traveled to Hawaii, which is perfectly Japanese speaking Hawaii.
Yeah. So I didn't know
hilarious because there are
Yeah.
a lot of Japanese-speaking people who live in Hawaii, but it is even beyond that, by the way. I will say it's become a little bit of a caricature now where it's perfect. You know, it's like slang and everything, and you're all, I don't know if this random person...
I'm playing in Japanese, and I expected their... Like, I don't know what I was expecting. I was expecting a lot of English, but like a translator or something, or them explaining something away. But they're like, nope. I looked it up, and I was like very surprised to see that over 20% of Hawaii is Japanese.
Yeah,
I was very, very. I had no idea about any of that, so I'm learning a lot about Hawaii. But yeah, but I am disappointed though because in the Japanese dub, I expected what's his name? What's the big actor that's in this game?
Danny Trejo.
Machete, yeah. Danny Trejo isn't in the Japanese version. Actually, the guy he's Japanese. He talks Japanese in the Japanese version, but he also talks English. But the English voice is voiced by someone else, which I found very weird.
Interesting.
Yeah,
I got to see them fight him, and I brought it up, and everybody told me I was wrong. It wasn't Danny Trejo, and I'm like, that's interesting because on his Twitter he says he's in it, but whatever. He's awesome in it. Dude, there's so many cool characters. The locations you go to, banging down trees to get items and destroying trash to build up your resort is. Fuck, there's so much
and
in
there's
this.
really cool stuff in the resort that I don't want to spoil, but that ties in so deeply with another huge mechanic, which I was like, holy fuck, this is really cool.
Well, it's pretty amazing to me just how there are almost no shortcuts in this game. Like, that's the thing I felt that the last one had a couple shortcuts because it was a minimalistic game. And they were like, okay, it's minimalistic. This one, they said, what did they say? Oh, we don't want you to play it because you're going to die of starvation because it's too long. And we all know how that goes. We've seen Dying Light 2, say, 500 hours. So we were like, you don't know if they're lying, if they're full of shit on how long a game is going to be. But this one, at least from what I've seen, it looks like it's all content. Because I was watching these guys do content 30, 40 hours in, and it was still unlocking systems. Yeah. And that, to me, is like the epitome of what I've always wanted in a game that says it's 40 hours. A game that's I love games. Games have to be repetitive to show your excellence. But... they a lot of times don't surprise you. Assassin's Creed, for all the shit I give it, has the Templars and stuff that come up 10, 15 hours in, maybe less.
Have new layers of stuff.
They have new layers, but this is like layers on layers on layers.
Within
of
layers,
stuff.
like nested layers and shit. Yeah, it's very, very cool.
Very well done.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, I'm 50 hours in and I still just got through the intro. And 50 hours is, like, to put it in perspective, Yakuza 0 took me 30 hours. Yakuza 5, which is the second biggest one, or third. Yeah, and Yakuza 5 took me around 50 hours. And now I just got over, like, the larger part of the intro, basically, where like the game is starting now. The main story, it's still nothing crazy happened yet for me. Like I'm still in the very beginning stages, but I'm 50 hours in. Yeah, I mean Yakuza 7 was huge, and it took me 70 hours.
What about you, Johnny? How far are you into it?
I'm in chapter 4. I got like 20 hours into it.
Chapter 4. I'm gonna turn that off. That's too bright.
I've been playing pretty organically, so I'm not like going out of my way to stay away from main quests, if that makes sense. Right. I know a lot of people tend to
I didn't do that either.
Out first before advancing the main quest. For me, I've been kind of doing the main quest as a byproduct of exploring the map, because as you explore the map, you kind of, there's a main quest here, so I just go and do that. And then I'm running around exploring the map, and I found like an ice cream thing mission. So I do that, just pretty organically, because they're pretty good usually in these games about telling you when you're going to be locked out of stuff. Like, hey, if you want to do some missions, you're not going to be able to, go back or something.
Right. Yeah. Right. Anybody in chat, what are you guys thinking of it? Are you enjoying it? So let me bring up something that I find interesting. So Abzi was against or didn't love the New Game Plus thing, and that became a huge discussion in our chat. So I was watching Wannabe Dev, who didn't have it, and he's grinding away, and he's smashing trees. And then he looks over at Reg, who's streaming it, and Reg has the premium version.
Yeah, already
and
has 1,000 of each.
Reg had 1,000 of each. And I got to admit to you, the moment I saw it, I knew that was going to be an issue. Now, is it an issue for Reg? No, because I don't even know if he'll beat the game. He's not like that. And that's not a thing for him. But for me, it's like a cheat code.
Yeah.
And if I get a cheat code, I have a huge problem with my reward center being destroyed. And I got to admit to you guys, I think that premium edition fucked up a lot. Not only the N Plus and all that, but really fucked up by giving so much stuff. Reg was building, it became a joke. He was building stuff for no reason to tease game dev. So game dev was like crunching away, and Reg was like, nah, I'll build this. And you're like, ooh, I don't know. Now, again, didn't bother him, and it won't bother some people listening. But yeah, it definitely seems to be bothersome.
It bothered me more than a dungeon and NG Plus being locked behind a paywall, because we've seen this before. Yeah, and it sucks all the time. I don't think we've seen like an NG Plus, but we've seen a lot of content, which is always shit. But what pissed me off more is that I bought the ultimate, and it was just like easy mode for stuff. Like, mind you, obviously in the island, like it does streamline the first couple hours. It's not like that big of a deal, but it just minimizes the whole thing, because as I said, being at that zero spot, going from nothing to something is one of the most enjoyable. It's very satisfying,
And normally you see a lot of stuff that you can turn off and on, like like special accessories. Remember Final Fantasy 16, you got like some rings you could put on to like help with combat and stuff like that. That type of stuff I think is a better way. Like you're kind of giving the option. If you want to streamline and speed up your progression, you have that, but you can turn it off.
Yeah, I think they fucked it up, man. I think that reward center, there was other things they could have given for premium edition, and that
just cosmetics, man.
Yeah, if your game is based around that, it really feels like that is a mistake on their part. However, they sold 1 million already, which is the highest for them. Concurrent players was pretty high. They had stated that the original Yakuzas they showed on Game Pass was to get people into Game Pass or into Yakuza, and it was a good introduction to Yakuza. However, now that we see Palworld and how well they've been doing all this stuff, I do wonder if the Yakuza guys are like, damn, because I don't think they would have lost many sales. In fact, I think most sales aren't on the Xbox ecosystem, and I do wonder, like, if they were like, oh, damn, it would have been nice to be on Game Pass too, because so many people seem to be engaged.
Very similar stuff.
Yeah, you mean definitely Yakuza's got. I mean, Yakuza's got the mini games that are that are a copy of Pokemon.
A lot of Persona stuff too.
Palworld. Yeah, a lot of Persona stuff for sure. Bonds. Yeah. I didn't understand exactly the tic-tac-toe thing, but I see the relationship tic-tac-toe sort of mini game that's in there. Bingo. Thank you. Bingo
card. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the like when you recruit a Sujimon, it's not like Pokemon, it's like Persona. So it's like they even have like that metal music kind of thing, like that chill metal music, and the guy's like glowing red, and he's literally there like a Persona.
Try to not review. I know you didn't spoil anything
too much. Sorry,
but just try to, because I mean that's kind of the juice about the game, just discovering a lot of those.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, I think those, unless I'm incorrect, I think all those systems have overall that we've talked about, because I know we're not talking about two others that are later in the game that I won't mention.
I don't think we have revealed anything.
There's one
I mean,
thing.
those are in the trailers. I mean, all that kind of stuff. And technically, when you look at Yakuza, a lot of those are in Yakuza anyway. One of the things I have noticed with this game is that it's like they thought things through longer. If that makes sense.
That's
it's
what
like
I think.
They looked at a system they may have had, and they went, we're going to a new place, man. Let's fucking bone this up. Let's nail this. So go ahead.
Did you see, I won't spoil anything. I don't think it's a spoiler, but I just won't say anything. But did you see how their dungeon system, like how their dungeon works? Really cool. That
very like something else too.
Yeah.
Very like something else. By the way, I know people, and we're going to talk about this, people, don't like copying. I think that makes sense. But if you copy and make it better, which I personally think that Yakuza does something better than another game that it copies from, then I'm fine with it. Like they copied it, they basically integrated the ideas some of these other games have, and they've just absolutely like rocked it, man. I mean, it is legitimately. I love Yakuza's, some of them. I like Lost Judgment more, but I actually think Infinite Wealth, from what I've seen, is probably a more enjoyable game than any of the others that have come before. It's ridiculous. There's something there for everybody. That was the other thing. If you miss out on something here, it's not like the other games where it might be this big trinity where you miss out and it feels like this gap. This game feels like if you miss out and don't like something, you've got another 3 somethings you can do. And they're not small somethings. Even the interactivity with the environment is just a next level. Somebody told me what you could do, like pushing somebody into a car, and I was like, I don't understand. What do you mean you can do
favorite.
that? And I
it's my favorite JRPG.
and I was just like, oh my God, you can. Yeah, it's up there, man.
Great.
It's up. It's
and it's again, pretty intuitive too.
Yeah.
What
That's why I'm worried.
I wanted to ask Johnny what he means real quick. What do you mean by intuitive?
Well, in a lot of JRPG games, you need so many tutorials for you to understand like the game systems and how to take advantage of the mechanics and stuff. Like, what is strong against what? And, what do I need to do to squeeze out my combo? But in this game, it's really simple but deep as well.
Okay.
I found it intuitive. It's like, the first time you push someone into traffic, you go like, okay, I can do that. There are things like that where you can, push them towards your allies or other enemies and stuff like that. And you kind of learn it all through experimentation. You don't need a pop-up to tell you, hey, you can do this. You kind of just intuitively pick up the different things you can do and how you can
that's very
be
fair.
Tactical.
What were you going to say, Abzi?
It gets me a little bit worried too because I don't think I'm going to beat the game anytime soon. It's going to probably take me until maybe at least Pacific Drive comes out. That's like the next game I'm planning, like the big game I want to play. But it gets me worried about Final Fantasy now because they're kind of going for the same type of stuff. Like they're showing, like they're like, okay, this big world, there's a lot of mini games and stuff, and I feel like I'm gonna go from Yakuza expecting like Yakuza level, mini games or like interactions, and maybe hopefully they nail it. But like I have a feeling it's just gonna be like a little step down, But
I think that's a legitimate worry. Jemmy, we're gonna do super chats real quick. Jemmy 504, $2. Hope everyone is everything is going well, boys. Yakuza is amazing. Wannabe Dev, Ron 25. I'm a slave to Yakuza and Tekken and now Persona 3. Oh, yeah, Persona 3 Royale Edition, or whatever we're calling, is out too. That came out today, right? Last night for some people, I guess.
Persona 3 Royale. Yeah, people are playing it today, yeah.
Hush Al Ghul, $2 super chat. Would you guys want a Yakuza MMO? No. Personally, no.
No.
No, I think it's better.
That sounds pretty bad.
Yeah, I think it's best the way it is. Clipper fan, SAR 25. Sucks that most of the talk on Yakuza 8 is centered around NG Plus mode, which people would promote good parts of the game instead of the bad ones. Luckily, I've been lucky to notice no one's talking bad about this. I don't know if my Twitter is magic, because I don't think it is, because I see some shit. But for this game, there has been, other than that, which I think it's cool to talk good and then be like, your fucking N Plus game
but that sucks balls.
Yeah. So I personally can say I've been very lucky. And then Hush Al Ghul, $5 super chat. Abzi, since you don't want material for premium edition, what do you think double XP or 1.5 material gathering? Do you think about those?
I personally don't mind if people want like the extra boost by paying more or whatever. They could do whatever they want. I personally just don't like that stuff. I don't like getting a little handicap helping stuff. Yeah. I just like to play the game as intended. But sometimes you can argue that the game isn't intended that way and they did it on purpose and they made the grind too much because of blah, blah, blah. You could, get into a lot of rabbit holes there. So I just usually when I get like a pre-order, bonus items or whatever, I just like stash them or sell them or something. Yeah.
I got to say, personally, I also feel like 80% of the time, if not 90, that's bullshit. And we find out the normal grind that we see is the grind. It's not overt. It's not, blah, blah, blah. We saw this with some Assassin's Creed games. People are like, the grind is this. It's like, dude, I played it. Grind wasn't anything. This game, I think you're fine without that stuff. Wannabe Dev was doing fine. He didn't have it. He didn't get to do what Reg was doing, but that was more along the lines of like,
it's only the first couple hours of the island.
It was infinite wealth. that's what the joke was. He bought infinite wealth. Like that was what happened with the premium version. But we had a blast. He had a good time. It didn't ruin nothing. Man, so far what I've seen, Yakuza looks like, to me, a Game of the Year contender for sure. Like, and I'll remember it. Unlike, I'm not going to be like at the end of the year forgetting. It will not happen. Yeah, like I usually don't do that.
And Dragon's Dogma were like, oh wait, Yakuza was this year too, wasn't it?
Yeah. It definitely, I think, deserves to be mentioned. What about you guys? What games are you guys enjoying currently other than Yakuza? Christopher says, what pisses me off is that there's no difficulty level to select when you start the game. So when it tells you should be a certain level to progress, you're encouraged to buy DLC to level up. What game is that he's talking about?
He's talking about Yakuza. So Yakuza will tell you sometimes when you are about to embark on a big mission, it will say, you're about to, do something. You won't be able to go to the town for a little bit while you go through this. And the recommended level is blah. And the weapon level that's recommended is maybe 2 stars or, 2+ stars or something. So it gives you an idea of like the level you should be to do that mission.
Or how over-leveled you are to the main story.
But he says you're encouraged to buy DLC. Yeah. So they also say to get to this level, you can just buy DLC.
I guess he's talking about he's talking about like the pop-ups for like, oh, you can get New Game Plus and stuff.
Oh, yeah, you don't want that.
I haven't gotten it because I already have the thing.
But, I'm okay with them warning you because I think that's fine. Levels in some games, that's just the way they want to do it. But they shouldn't be saying, you need a 25th level, have a good time, come back later, and then a second later you get a DLC pop-up for microtransaction. That's dirty.
I didn't get it. I just want to say, and I
didn't see it with game dev either, but
I personally didn't see it, and also I was always way over leveled, and it's not like I was grinding massively. I was just walking through the city fighting stuff that I found, but I was usually comfortably above what they asked.
Man, you know what, Johnny, that's exactly what I noticed last night in the game too. Now that I think about it, I didn't hear them ever complain. They were just going. It felt
like they did a good job, kind of like plotting out
where you might be at this one time.
Yeah. Where you might be. Yeah, it didn't feel like I hit a wall. I have to go grind.
Yeah, like the only things you would say like you would want more power for is like stuff that isn't the main story. Like if you want to go for the top of the top stuff, for example, and you're like, I want to get to that level. The thing is, dude, I also so leveling I love this job system. So leveling jobs on each character gives you permanent stat increases and permanent skills you can inherit, right? And I was like, okay, like I'm going from like rank 13 to 14, and it's very, very slow. So I'm assuming rank 20 is the max rank for a job. And then I go and look to see what each rank gives you, and there's 99 ranks for every job. And I'm I had a plan to level on every job on every character. That was my plan. But I'm definitely not gonna, dude, rank 99 on it's insane. I just wonder how much content there is in store.
Chris says you can buy level weapon boosters or grind in a labyrinth to level up. Basically, can't turn on easy mode if you aren't at the appropriate level. Yeah, I'm fine with that. I mean, I get why you don't like it, but as long as they're not actually popping up a pop-up, that's life. That's just the way they did this game. Not all games are going to have that difficulty selector. And if Reg was doing fine, I don't know what else to say.
Are you using Reg as like the low bar?
Well, I mean, yeah.
The high bar, right?
Well, Reg is the low bar for like, he's the guy who wants it as easiest as humanly possible.
He did select auto combo mode in DMC.
In DMC, remember, he was the one who did the auto combo mode where it alerts everybody you're playing.
No, he's the high bar for how easy a game.
Or he's the high bar for how easy. He's the low bar for how difficult, or the high bar for how easy. He's one of those bars. But personally, at least with all the people we've been playing in Discord, I haven't seen anybody ever have any leveling issues, at least so far. But overall, better looking game, better sound, sounds like better voice, which is great. Like that's, I know for a lot of people. I was listening to both Japanese and the English, and you guys know me. I definitely would pick the English ones just because I don't have to read the thing when I want to look at the gameplay. But what I saw, man, the combos, the combat, and I mean, some of those models are pretty smoking too. I'll say that. There were a couple times where I was like, dude, what is going on? Everybody knows in chat who I'm talking about. There's a couple characters that show up, and I'm like, damn, man, those are some hot characters.
I caught some English VA watching someone. I caught some English VA, and there's Tomizawa, one of your companions. He has an amazing English actor. That guy is really, really good. He's the
short,
taxi driver.
The taxi driver.
Shorter guy. Yeah. Very good.
Mm.
Yeah, they did. I mean, so far, man, I'm really excited to see it do well. They also, I mean, their hit rate is pretty fucking high. I think the lowest one for me was Ishin, which was the feudal Japan one.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Which was, I liked it, but it just...
Arcade combat.
Yeah,
that was a remake, right, of an older one?
Remaster, yeah.
Well, many have been remakes and remasters of older ones. I mean,
Kiwami,
yeah, like Kiwami.
Yeah, true. So like they all, many have been, but I still think that's the only real miss. And to me, and when I say miss, I don't mean bad. I just mean to this
level. Not by a mile. It was just
it still had amazing mini games.
Yeah, it had awesome really stuff. And once you leveled up, you got some cool moves. So yeah, it's cool to see, man. I mean, it's awesome. The one thing I would say is I'm just not a big fan of the music style in this one, but it doesn't pop up a bunch. It's just sometimes when it goes off, it's just not my thing. But overall, very good everything. I mean, I'm trying to think if there's even been one thing in this where I'm like, oh yeah, there is. I do hate one thing about this game. Truly dislike it. I want to be able to, at the very least, dress up the character a little bit. And the idea that only the jobs change the character's look really bothers me at a core level. I want that
Unless
customization.
You have the Ultimate Edition.
Well, Reg was still running around with the same capris and flower shirt. And so when I see change. 5 people doing that, I want to say, like, even
not in combat. Yeah,
correct.
They stay the same.
Yeah. That really actually, when you see this customization and everything, and then they're like, but you have to all look like you're the same person no matter what person is playing it and how many hours. That was that was a letdown to me, a severe letdown. I was hoping to be able to, in some way, I mean, because Kiryu's had different suits. I think it was just the last one and forgot his name. He had, or erased his name. He had a different suits he could wear. It's just.
Oh, I have another one to point out. I didn't like that. I mean, I get that it's a mini game within a mini game, which is beating people up in the island.
I know where you're going.
I might be speaking out of my ass because I don't know how easy it is to it's the same engine. I don't know how easy it is to kind of integrate some of the real-time combat mechanics given their pedigree and their previous games, and they've nailed combat. But in the island, it just make the I just wanted the reactions of the enemies to be a bit better, like just hitting them to be a little bit more. Yeah. It's pretty bad.
And it's really bad. Low level combat in that location. Really low Multiple level. People brought that up.
I was kind of a little bit excited for a real time even I knew it wasn't going to be like actual Yakuza real time combat. Just a little bit more, given their pedigree, a little bit more.
And given that even the Pokemon has you pulling off moves, even though it shoots fire out of your feet when you do a move, it's still got the animations.
It's still got the animations.
Where when you're on you're on that island swinging your bat, going, "Oh, this is it!" Like they just pop up,
just going like this.
And the enemies will. You're like, dude, what are you doing? Moving on from there, let's talk about the state of play. So Sony announced that early. Then we got an event, which was 45 minutes, I think. And you have a list of. We'll just go down alphabetically because
go down the list alphabetically.
What's the first one?
Dave the Diver and Godzilla. It's crazy. I don't think a lot of us have anything to add. Death Stranding 2. Start with the big one. Death Stranding 2 looks sick. Like graphically, just looks amazing. Looks very, very good graphically. I'm not as so the first one, the trailers grabbed me more because of the mystery, because I felt like I had a lot of mystery and I wanted to uncover the mystery, and that was like a large part of the game, which is cool. I'm sure this one will have, but like in the trailers, I didn't have a feeling of like what the fuck is going on, because I'm like, oh, it's more Kojima shit. But yeah, what do you guys think? Yeah, electric guitar.
I'm way more interested in this one than I ever was in one.
Yeah,
probably because it wasn't just the walking that maybe got other people the mystery, and I saw the electric guitar, I was like, okay, Troy Baker's doing his Troy Baker thing, here we go. And then he started playing guitar and fighting off a samurai, and I was like, what? I'm not at all into the Kojima weirdness. It just comes across as like a whatever to me. But some of the stuff they showed with the little doll guy, who's like with the head FPS? In God of War with lower FPS, and him interacting, I was like, it interested me. And I got to say, nothing in Death Stranding 1 ever interested me. This entire thing interested me, where I was like, and I don't mean interest in the I got to sit down and play it. I just mean like, what is that? Like, what are they doing? And maybe it's more for me than it is for, because other than Metal Gear, he does change things around. So there might be a chance that this might gravitate a little bit more towards something that's more easily digestible to me than the first one, that's my hope. That's what I came away with it, was that I was a great deal more interested in this than I ever was in one, which is really, to me, exciting, because I can at least now go, maybe, where I couldn't before. What about you, Johnny?
Yeah, I thought it looked cool. It had a lot of visually striking things in it. I'm a little bit done with the whole baby in the throat network. And another thing inside a baby, and it's like, you know what I mean?
A spaceship, the Nebuchadnezzar.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, it feels a bit too much for me.
Yeah, no, I get you.
Stuff.
Were they in there when they were blue? Were they in the ship in the baby?
That's what I was thinking, Abzi. Yeah.
Okay.
Which admittedly might be a cool, gameplay thing.
Imagine.
And also, you do see people outside of holograms, which one of my biggest complaints was that 90% of people you interact with are friggin' holograms in the prior game.
What do you guys think, chat? Shit. Go ahead, Johnny. Sorry.
And they sound terrible too, because they're a hologram. So.
Oh, right. So they had the hologram
what I mean? It's always the radio voice.
Yeah.
I'm fading out.
I forgot about the baby, but the moment you're going through the cervix, I saw, not cervix, but I saw, or I heard people in chat going, "Oh my God, here we go again," and then the baby spits out a fucking spaceship, and we were just like, "What?"
I do have a feeling.
Oh, go ahead. Yeah, no, go ahead.
I have a feeling. Okay, hear me out. Death Stranding 1 is weird as fuck, right? It's very, very weird. But it wasn't all that convoluted. Okay, it was very simple. Yeah. Metal Gear Solid, started off the same way, which has weirdness, wasn't very convoluted, but then they went off the rails and they made it insanely convoluted. I really hope he doesn't do that with this one. That's one thing. I really hope he doesn't go like, and then there's this company that's trying to do this, and then they go like that, and then this guy attaches this guy's arm and becomes Liquid Ocelot. I don't. Hopefully he kind of keeps it simpler. Yeah, but,
and we see that with a lot of sequels where they lose the Matrix did it with more and more sequels. You just got more and more. When you first saw the Matrix, you're like, okay, fake world, real world sucks, but you look cool in it. And then they're right at the end, you're like, oh, third world, 3 layers of world. There's the Matrix you think, the real world you're in, and then the shit Matrix where everybody smells like oatmeal and BO. And you're like, all right, that's a lot. Then you get into 2, and they're like, well, what if there's older? And you're like, all right, now we've lost the entire thing. And I can see that with this for sure, because it went plaid pretty quick. And plaid just meaning a very convoluted mess of colors and design. It was just brah. But I mean, it got me, the guitar thing got me, see, here's the problem I have. Those got me interested, but I don't know if I would enjoy the play or watching a cutscene instead I would probably go all right, enough of this. I get it. I just don't know if, it's for me. I think some people like to play it because they don't want to do DMT in real life. And they just play Kojima again.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
I mean, and Death Stranding, you are absolutely right on something. As weird as that looked, it really was not complex at all. Yeah. It was here's a thing, you do this, and, maybe he's got 1 or 2 eclectic spirit things in there. This one was you might be blue, you might be inside of a cervix, or a womb, you might be inside of a baby, the baby spits out, and, you start adding. What I did was the vehicles, he got into different vehicles, traveling around, that all looked cool.
Desert looks really good. Desert looks nice.
Yeah, Desert looked really cool. The chick had puppet strings at the end, which he's definitely got a puppet fetish in this one, because not only do you have the puppet on your side, the strands, but you had the strands on her, which weren't on the other people. So I don't know enough about the lore to know why she had strands.
The hand stuff that she
Oh
used.
my god, the fucking face mask with the hands and it's talking and it's like lighting her cigarette. You're just like, all right, whatever. Yeah, Death Stranding 2. There you go. What else we got?
Yeah. All right. After that, Foam Stars.
Hey, I'm gonna play Foam Stars for the hell of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You never know, dude.
Yeah.
Know,
I mean, once the finals came out and hit pretty well, I was like, okay, these kind of games I might just jump into. So
yeah.
What else?
Helldivers 2. What are your thoughts? You guys
looks good.
Interested? Looks good. Looks good. I hope it's a little bit more. I hope there's a little bit more something than like a normal looter shooter.
Yeah, in review or not review, but servers. The story is that servers are doing the same thing Suicide Squad is, which is day.
Always
so like
online?
To be able to play it, you won't be able to review it early.
Right.
At least
Early
from what
access.
it sounds like, it's all going live at the same time for everybody. What I saw looked awesome, Starship Trooper style. That to me is exactly what I was hoping, and they've nailed the little goofiness to it. I think
gunplay looks really good.
Gunplay looks good. Graphics look good. Overall, the big thing is like how long are you gonna stick to it?
That's the thing, right? Yeah. I hope it has like the content basically, not just like killing enemies over and over, but like more meaningful content.
It reminded me a lot of EDF. 5,
Very much so. And EDF is a rip-off of Starship Trooper. Like, they all have
exactly.
This, they have that winding thing. I don't know what you guys thought, though. The one thing, so Finals has really disappointed me, and this makes sense, trust me. Finals disappointed me because they had a great idea, and they didn't capitalize on continuing their fan base and delivering data. Now they're like 99% of their fan base is gone. They've already moved on. And the Finals hit hard. And I feel like Helldivers has to have stuff, and they have to hit it. Otherwise, what are we doing? We're buying a $60 event. We're buying a digital event if they don't continue that. Meaning, you're buying access to a ticket. It's almost like we're all going to the same concert in these games. And that concert will have one big event, which is your 2 weeks of gameplay, and then it dies out. And then you have these poor people playing Outriders with 16 concurrent, users on a server.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I don't
like
mind.
trendy.
Right. In a weird way, I almost understand it. And I'm like, okay, it's like a concert. So we are all going. But at the same time, I don't want everybody returning to fucking Guild Wars because the Finals doesn't have new content. Like, at some point, these guys have to get their roadmap working and moving forward. And I'm worried Helldivers, even though they have a roadmap and all that stuff, I'm just worried it won't be, what's the term, like meaty enough. Just have to see.
Yeah, you can't really like reap the benefits of having a live service model without like putting out the effort to
the
keep
service
it going,
part.
Right?
Service does mean you are serving something. Like if you're not serving anything, it's just a live event. Yeah. That's what I mean is like we're all just buying that $60 ticket to play, and that's it. And that sucks.
Yeah.
Finals, admittedly, somebody's going to bring us up. Yes, I know Finals is free. What I'm saying is if I was running the Finals, I would have had some stuff ready in case it did do well, which it did. Because the more people concurrent, the more people are buying your microtransactions and clothing and all this stuff. And their server numbers are shit. 4-player co-op, right? In this?
Yep.
And then what's the cost for Helldivers? Do we know? I can look that up, actually. I think
it's 50?
I think it is. I think it's $10 off.
Is it 50 or I guess 60?
Somebody's saying 60? Okay. It is oh god.
It's $80.
No, $40
$70?
on Sony store. 40.
Oh shit, nice.
Good.
Yeah, and
that's
PC
nice. $40 on Steam. Not bad.
Yeah.
Not bad.
Very
That's
nice.
good. That's
Very
awesome.
nice.
That's awesome.
PC day one. Very cool.
Crossover or crossplay. That's cool, man.
Everything.
That's really cool. Finals is a terrible analogy. Use Darktide instead. It's actually good. No, Darktide is quite literally the worst analogy
Oh man,
of these at all. It didn't deliver. You got it backwards. It didn't deliver day one.
Darktide came out early access.
Darktide had issues. We're talking about games that are actually good day one.
But, yeah.
So moving on from there, what do we got after Helldivers?
Oh man, I can't wait for this. Judas.
Dude, Judas looks awesome.
Judas. Yeah. Oh, I love what they're doing there. The art direction, the characters, the feel of it, the vibe, the fucking, oh man, just everything about it.
Dude, and I mean, this isn't a spoiler. It's right there. It's right there. But Ken is always about humans making decisions with like impoverished ideals and weak thought processes. This is obviously about AI, because if you look in the lower left during the terminal, it pops up and says loading the Judas AI. So it's like something about AI currently and what
Plus
we're
the
dealing with.
first trailer we saw like metal bits.
Yeah, dude. I'm excited. What I saw looked it was definitely BioShock Infinite looking. Like it hasn't stepped up the detail. He chose a cartoony, I guess, or like a characterization.
It reminded me of
very stylized.
That game,
stylized.
A few.
Oh,
of
We
us
Happy Few. We Happy Few.
Oh
We
yeah,
Happy
yeah,
Few.
yeah.
Yeah,
We Happy
that's
Few.
true.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
Happy
yeah.
Few.
The
The look
faces,
of
like
it.
the NPCs. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I saw like a little quip or something. I saw that it's slated for 2025 and that it's gonna have like choices, like a lot of like new type of choice or something in the game. Yeah,
So if anybody wants to see, it's probably still up, but Ken did a GDC about 6 years ago about AI, and it was not about this. He was working on stuff, team AI, decision making, all this stuff. But I think some of what he was talking about during the event is probably made it into this game, just because he's a programmer and everything they do, they rock forward to see if they can sort of use it. Yeah, it was a very good it's a little bit of a just disjointed, because he was either being cagey or truly was at that baby genesis point where the cells hadn't even formed a navel. It was like you don't know even what you're talking about. But it was a very good GDC from Ken. Might even been longer than 6 years. It was a while ago, but yeah, he was covering but I think it was after Infinite. Judas looks graphically like what I want.
A bit stylized.
But I will, I don't know. I just need to see it more, because there were a couple characters that I was like, it could be not off-putting, but, you get that discussion where it's like, well, it's not, it's not Resident Evil. You're like, okay, I get it. They're not going for that. So his worldview, the way he delivers it, I think it's going to probably knock it out of the park. Even if it looked like Infinite, I would probably be okay, because Infinite looked good. It was design. It was grandeur. It was like that first time you like came out on your little hook and slid in something in Infinite, and you saw all the mechanisms around you, and you're just like, wow, this is insane looking. So, did we see any real combat in the trailer?
Little bits and pieces.
Little bits, right?
There's little like the powers, like telekinetic stuff, this like green string, more BioShock stuff, more new BioShock powers.
Yeah,
I really hope they step up like the interactions with stuff. Like, remember how you could like electrify water and stuff like that? So I really hope they got some of that.
Oh yeah, you mean like using your powers to affect the world instead of just like attacking
some elements.
Yeah,
yeah.
Yeah, it looked good. That'll be for everything. You said 2025. My guess is 2026.
Apparently, yeah, probably.
The way Ken has a tendency to be like, I'm tearing the entire game apart. I would love to work on that guy's team, but you would need a lot of medical assistance. Well, I just mean
another take.
Yeah. Like the idea of him coming in, and of course he knows. I don't know if Ken's missed, but man, you hear the stories of people being like, oh, we were this close, we were 3/4 of the way through, and Ken's like, nope, I don't want to do this at all. We're switching everything. Be like, oh my God, that would be rough to work on a team like that. What's after that?
After that, another we got a Metro Awakening VR. We can go about this in a lot of different ways here. I think personally, there was we the main complaint about PSVR 2 was it didn't have any games when it released, right? Now I don't think exclusivity is the answer here. I think that's a bad idea. I think it's because it's a subset of a subset. I don't think it's competing with PC VR at all. So I have no idea why they made it PSVR 2 exclusive. Xbox doesn't even have a VR.
They didn't.
What's up?
It was announced that it was PC VR as well the next
okay.
About an hour after.
Oh shit, never mind then. Okay, but as much as I'd love to see an actual Metro game, I love Metro. Not a huge fan of VR that much, but I don't think it's them working on it. They were working in collaboration with them.
Yeah,
so
that's what I heard
maybe they're
as well.
Still working on a Metro. Yeah,
I heard it wasn't 4A.
Looks good.
So it's not them who's doing it. It's just the Metro name. Dude, it Yeah. I don't know what to say.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it doesn't do anything. I mean, that's awesome, but I would rather have a Metro, on a bunch of systems that was flat screen. I mean, I don't know where VR stands as any reason to be VR. Currently, especially with the industry the way it is, unless it's announced for Apple and Apple suddenly has controllers for their new Pro Vision thing, I'm not really seeing the positive of that being, VR. I think people want a Metro game.
Yeah, of course. I want a Metro. I want an actual Metro game. I
want Metro. An actual Metro game. Yeah. Day one, this would have been a different discussion, but now I'm so tired of releasing with nothing. I'm just done with supporting the hardware birthing chamber, and you get this fucking wet slop, and then you have to wait, and it's all on the consumer to support it instead of the company supporting it day one. And that sucks. Johnny, this is probably not even for you, right? We can just move on. This is not hitting you in any level.
I'm not interested.
All right.
And then we got the game that looked, paled in comparison looks-wise, which is Legendary Tales, which is the RPG VR game, which they went from Metro with hyper-realistic graphics to a really, really bad-looking game. Well, normal VR game, relatively VR. It looks like a normal VR game, but yeah, so
bad
that
timing,
happened.
Man.
Maybe
bad
it's
timing.
fun, but very bad timing. Right?
Always have a gap between the hot girlfriend and your next one, right? Always have a gap. Yeah. Always, dude, there was no gap, and I saw that, and then I saw this next one. I was like, oh, bad timing. It wasn't that it was it was rough looking, but you know what I mean. It would have been better to come earlier, maybe, and then showed Metro at the end as a surprise or something. But instead, it's
that would have been bad.
Bang bang, and you're all, this is that's
it's like when a really good comedian starts out, and then there's someone who comes after, and it's
this guy.
Exactly. And people are just filing out the back. And by the way, again, I'm not saying that game even has a reason to do that. I'm just saying when you come after Metro which looked pretty good. It didn't, it was nowhere near Half-Life, but it looked really good. And then you get this, which is rough.
It looked fun, but it didn't look, graphically it didn't. Which also brings me to Rise of the Ronin, which also graphically, they're stuck with. I think it looks worse than Neo. I might be wrong, but I liked. I enjoyed what the combat looked like, which is more Neo kinda. But the world, graphically, I don't think they're really good at making NPCs other than you, right? I don't.
Man, dude, I agree.
Dude, the guy was going down. Dude, the guy was going down to war on the horse with two other dudes.
Bro, the horse animation in that is so bad that and by the way, horse animation, we sound like we're talking about horse armor when Oblivion launched, but it was I was just seeing this and that and this and that and going oh my God, this is just rough looking. That's rough looking. This is rough looking. But no stances, which is the big positive, because Ghost of Tsushima. Ghost of Tsushima.
Geez.
Ghost of Tsushima's stances. Yeah. When I had to look at enemies and I knew what stance I would have to switch as I went through each one, and I was like, oh man, this is starting to wear on me. Neo was different. Neo's stances weren't required. That was the thing, is they were up to the player, where Ghost of Tsushima's was very close. You'd attack a guy with the wrong stance, clang, you'd be like, oh, come on.
And then it gives you that pop-up tutorial. By the way, you should switch to this stance.
Yeah. So Rise of the Ronin looked a lot like AC2. I mean, can I just say that that looked like an Assassin's Creed game at times. Flying around, leaping on the things. I was just like, oh, wow, this has got a lot of DNA to it. A lot of different stuff.
I really hope, I think it might be fun. I think it's, from what I've seen in the combat, switching, the guns and swords and stuff looks like it'll be very fun.
Yep.
And as we know, back in the samurai age, they used flamethrowers. So you're going to be able to use flamethrowers.
There was a lot of different ideas in that game. There was a lot of different ideas. I'm surprised there wasn't a fucking laser gun.
A lot of mixed DNA.
I'm not like the biggest graphical person, but that was that took me aback, where it was okay, it could look better.
Oh I've liked games that looked pretty rough, but even I was like, okay, this one's not where I
think those
and the combat is a bit janky. It looks like a Eurojank game.
It looks that's what somebody brought up. A Japanese Elix. They were like, it looks like an Asian Japanese-inspired Elix, you know.
So it could be very, very fun.
So
we
it
might
could
get
be the
something like a
best game
jetpack.
of all time.
Yeah.
Where next year we're like, man, Rise of Ronin 2 is going to be awesome. What were you saying, Johnny?
Yeah. Just that those guys, it doesn't seem like their games change too much in terms of the looks, you know, like the menus. I mean, you can go to even Wolong, which is more recent, and the menus are pretty much like Neo.
Yeah.
And rough,
way worse,
right?
I think. But yeah.
Or arguably even worse. And so that's what I think, is that they're not really looking to push too much on that side. They're just like looking at the gameplay and stuff. And even there, I think it will be a question
level design is better, Johnny.
how much is
I just hope their level design is better than Strangers of Paradise and Wolong, man.
Oh, right.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah, it was interesting because we've talked about this before, where you get these games that are, you know, a Red Dead that's 6-7 years old still looks better than 95% of games. You're like, dude, it's a head scratcher sometimes. And then you get games like this where it was noticeably rough. Like I saw even developers inside of the YouTube chat going like, "Oh, wow, that doesn't look up to the."
Mind you, I'm still looking forward to it, but
so am I. So am I. But I mean, here's the thing: is I can look forward to an event and know a shitty family member is going to be there. It's like only in the internet, or is it like you can only talk good or you can only talk bad? Fuck you, leave. Like that's not the way I do things. But when I look at it, what I saw was what looked like to be. Like we said, maybe it's going to be the best game ever, because if it is a Japanese Elix, you're talking about one of my favorite games of all time. So like that, it could be amazing. I like Neo. The stances look more not fluid, but less restrictive than Ghost of Tsushima, and maybe closer to Neo. The flying, I thought looked, again, I don't have a problem with Assassin's Creed. So when I mention it, I don't mean it's bad. What I saw when he was like had the glider and stuff, and they were in the city, or the town, I guess you call it a town. There were like the steeples and stuff. I was like, oh shit, there might be some climbing involved. There might be some stealth from above. That kind of stuff looks awesome to me. So it it
looks like they're making some big changes compared to like the other games where they're very traceable. Very recognizable, every game they've made. And this one is like, oh, you can kind of fly and do a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, you can do a bunch of stuff, and you have a flamethrower. I mean, admittedly, anybody who looks at it you have to at least go, there's a lot of different ideas in that. And so it could turn out to be, you know, too much. And it could turn out to just be, it all comes together perfectly. But one thing I did notice is with the flamethrower and some of the aiming for the guns. So Neo had guns. You guys remember the gun? You know,
but it wasn't as like combo-y as this, right?
And it moved somewhat good. This moved about the same. I noticed it's still got the Hellblade Fallout 3 little bit of stiffness when you aim down. Like it's like third-person games just have that issue. They never feel well, unless they're like Remnant, where that's their thing. What I mean is, if they're a gun game, they nail it. If they're not, you start to play it and you're like, ooh, this controls a little weird. Even Alan Wake controlled weird. Really, when you look at Alan Wake and the guns in Alan Wake, there were times where you're like, it doesn't really
like the entire body is floating in a weird way.
Yeah. So
it should take note from Resident Evil.
Yeah, Resident Evil or Returnal. But I mean, Returnal's pretty crazy. I see. Here's the thing: is I did think of Returnal when I saw this, thinking, imagine if this game had Returnal style of movement, that slick movement. Then you're a real Ronin. That would be insane. Because there were some similarities. Once you break down and start looking, you're like, oh, there's actually some similarities here. But yeah, it looks cool. I didn't see an upgrade system yet, but I could have missed it in that trailer. So I don't know if you get like better swords or arm. He was
I wonder if it's going to be like Neo
ways.
in the sense that it's going to be like a loot fest type thing,
right?
Or if it's just going to be
a looter slasher,
scooter,
loot, shoot. And boot. I don't know. But what I saw looked pretty good. Real quick, super chat. Why would Sony want to release Rise of the Ronin the same day as Dragon's Dogma 2? $5. We will talk about that, in fact, in the next, right
Sony
after this.
We'll talk about it. Ninja.
I'll look it up because I want to make sure on that too. What other games do we got for this?
We got Silent Hill 2, which is literally... Listen, man, listen, I'm not a huge Silent Hill guy, but from what I've seen from the old Silent Hills, it was very They had these really cool filter, like it looked like grim. It looked like shit, but in a good way. Like it looked like it's just dirty, you know.
Yeah.
And this one looks like Resident Evil, and more action oriented. I don't know. What do you guys think? I'm not graphically. It didn't look really that good to me, but I'm not like a huge Silent Hill guy, so I don't know about you guys.
Didn't grab me.
Yeah, me neither. What about you, John?
Carl Weathers passed away. Damn.
Oh shit.
Apollo from
Rest in
Rocky.
peace, Carl Weathers, man.
Johnny, what did you think of Silent Hill?
I would say, as someone who, I played one Silent Hill back in the day, but I wouldn't say I'm a fan.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't stick with me. I don't remember it particularly. So nothing that I saw there grabbed me as being unique or kind of distinctive compared to other things.
Good
it
term,
reminded me of other games that I like, Resident Evil and like some stuff like that. But
Looked
but
like
nothing
Leon,
that
didn't he?
Sorry?
A little bit. He looked like Leon a little bit. Leon
Right.
Kennedy.
Yeah. The dude, right? Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
gotcha.
Yeah. I don't
hadn't
know.
thought about that.
Is there something that's like, the main identity of Silent Hill that we can point to? Or is it?
I think it's like the story, like crazy story or something,
Story.
right? I think it's like mostly that. But like it was very stylized. Like as I said, like they had these very cool filters and like it had a lot more atmosphere than what I saw in the trailer, in my opinion. Even though the game is old.
Yeah, it didn't grab me too much so far. What was the next one?
Which also Silent Hill, the short message, which is pretty cool that they shadow dropped for free.
Mm-hmm.
It's first person. Looks pretty cool. Kind of reminded me of like PT a little bit. So
Haven't got to check that one out.
Yeah, and check that out. So I don't know. Did anyone in chat check that out? Did you guys like it?
So is that like a demo or?
No, it's a mini
I don't know
game.
if
it's a mini game,
Oh.
from what I understand. Yeah, like a chapter,
Almost like
kind
a
of thing.
prologue
Like PT,
type thing?
in a weird way.
like PT, like a
PT.
Ground Zero, Metal Gear.
Oh, Ground Zero from Metal Gear.
Metal Gear,
was-
yeah, but not paid.
Was a
right?
separate.
Ground-
Yeah, that
Ground
was
Zero-
so bad
Ground
though.
Zero was
How
like
they
a full
did
price
it.
game or some shit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Before you go on to the next one, real quick,
Yes.
there's some more super chats I missed. Marco 279, Karak loves Death Stranding now. Join us. Well, let's talk about that. But admittedly, I'm buying off on 2, way more. Javier says, $2 super chat, GS2 has too much Troy Baker silliness. Did have a lot of silliness, but come on. I mean, he's got a Casio like
I thought it
guitar.
was a completely different character, but they just hired Troy Baker again. But I watched the trailer again, and it's actually like Higgs coming back. Yeah, he
Yeah,
said,
that's what somebody else had told me, was that it's a character coming back.
I thought it was like a different enemy, and they're like, we're gonna make him Troy Baker too. But yeah, that's
Garageaholic Jonas, Garage Adelic Jonas, $5 super chat. As an older gamer, 59 in May, love watching you dudes. Glad Karak is better, and I do a hit when Abs does. Okay.
Oh. Like on the vape?
I'm assuming.
Oh.
Well, it may
Should
not
I
be a
roll a
vape.
joint or
Usually,
something?
I don't know a lot of people who describe a vape as a hit. A lot of
Like a
hit
hit.
is usually
hit on the vape.
Oh, it's like
usually somebody's like puffing on a vape, but they're hitting on the joint. But I could be
Hitting
wrong.
on the
It
joint.
just depends.
Right.
Christopher Jetzer, $5. Why would Sony? Yep, we're going to cover that in a second. Salius, $5 super chat. Deep Silver noticed they were working on the. Deep Silver noticed that they're working on the next Metro 4 game. It's been confirmed. Just an update. I think he means to say Deep Silver has notified people that they are working on the next main Metro 4 game. Okay, great.
Right.
Yeah, cool. That's awesome.
Cool.
There we go.
It looks like the Silent Hill game is bad. Oh well, at least it was free. But I guess
All right,
free
and
things
then
can be
Yamaha
bad.
Gaming, $5 super chat. Rise of the Ronin. We'll have to do till the next Ninja Gaiden. Wishing you boys health and happiness.
Do you think they'll ever do a Ninja Gaiden again?
I don't know. I don't even know where Ninja Gaiden is. And dude, okay, we're so far past like a Bloodborne remake and a Red Dead remake that when you mention Ninja Gaiden, it's like 70 levels below those.
Yes, I mean,
right?
Yeah, and Half-Life 3 is down there
and
too.
Half-Life
now,
3 is down there under Gabe, under one of the children he's built his throne out of. I have no clue what these guys are doing.
Hollow Knight.
Project Zombioid's final release. They obviously have an idea, but they must do finances and just look and say, okay, this doesn't make any sense at all for us to do. Ninja Gaiden's very popular, and I would love a sequel, but guys, it's a pretty contested market right now. Well, I mean, we just mentioned 2 or 3, and then we're going to talk about at least one more that's the third-person action slasher. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, there's a lot of games in this small section. Yeah.
For sure. They did just do the remasters, right? Or like the Game Pass Ninja Gaidens.
Did they? They did. Yeah, they did. Those, but see, here's the problem. They came and went. See, that's the other thing is maybe they're looking at those and going, right now, you know, just like they're not hitting the way we thought. Ninja Gaiden's a name that is awesome, but there's a lot of great. I mean, Neo has replaced it for me. I love Ninja Gaiden, but like Neo is well above Ninja Gaiden. Oh yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
What was the next one?
Next one. Oh yeah, this isn't alphabetical. What the hell is the article talking about? Why is R before S? Sorry, anyways. No, QRS. What stop fucking with me. Sonic Shadow Generations. Look, dude,
what is going on with this game? Is this a remake of the Sonic Adventures?
I remember playing the Shadow game, and listen, dude, I'm not like a huge Sonic fan, but I'm like, dude, it's Shadow again. I played that game in what was it? Xbox original
or Dreamcast? The was it game? Xbox? Okay.
Yeah, the Xbox original one is the one I played, or 360. One of those. I played a Shadow game.
That one came out of nowhere for me.
Is there like riveting gameplay in those anymore? Like I feel like I was a kid and I was like, oh, I'm going fast and hitting shit. But is there like is the gameplay
riveting? Yeah.
You know, is there like stuff?
Isn't it weird when you think about it? That's a good point. When you think about it, that Spider-Man in Spider-Man 2 getting knocked around the city goes faster than Sonic ever did. We passed, you know what I mean? We passed Sonic as Sonic used to. I mean, his name meant. It meant what it was. It was Sonic fast. Yeah. Now you're like, oh, there's a lot of games that do speed right now. Yeah, it just looked like a. I mean, I don't know. Look, it doesn't grab me. I don't think their gameplay ever exceeded or ever hit where I wanted for the 3D. I think the 2D is actually better. Like Rayman. Rayman had I think it had one 3D game. And I know it had, obviously, the 2D games. And the 2D games are amazing. And I just wish some people would go, oh, it's obvious this work. Like, for example, Ori. If Ori went 3D, I'd be like, oh, I don't know if that's really what I need from that. And I guess what I saw Sonic, the 2D stuff looked okay, but the 3D stuff just looked like the jank fests I had dealt with on those adventure games. They were they never really nailed it for me. I don't know if did they rate well? Do you know? Did those old?
I don't know. I want to get into the brain of like a Sonic fan, and see like what
turns them on.
Maybe there is something there. Yeah, maybe there is. I don't know. I remember enjoying Sonic Heroes and shit because I was like, oh, we're going fast and hitting shit.
I thought the 3D adventure Sonic they did was maybe getting towards something really cool.
The new one?
It's just not there. Yeah, the recent one was
that
like
true.
1-2 years ago.
You are right on that.
Yeah, I heard some positive shit about that.
It wasn't quite there, but it kind of had, it had the bones of something, I think.
Yeah, it's possible. What's next?
Yeah. What is next is Stellar Blade. Now, I personally am really looking forward to this. I saw, I thought it was just going to be like a linear DMC thing, but they showed a lot more things. I like the look of mostly like the setting and the kind of the character design of like those cyberpunk characters and the enemy design. It's interesting. I didn't notice. You have mentioned that you noticed some like issues in animations and stuff. I didn't really look. Maybe I have to go back and watch. But yeah, what would you guys think?
Well, Johnny also, I think, really liked it.
I like the setting, and I was a little bit, like I was telling you guys, I was a bit afraid that it's one of those like shiny objects that looks good on the surface, but when you get your hands on it, it's kind of trash. Not trash, but it doesn't quite feel good. It reminds me a little bit of that other game. I'm not gonna remember the name.
Nocturne?
No, it was kind of like a sci-fi.
Astral Blade?
Scarlet Nexus?
Scarlet Nexus.
I loved that game. Oh, that game was so good.
I liked a lot of things about it, but when I got my hands on it, I kind of hated every character and like how it came together.
I love that idea. I kind of hated
the combat
every
in that game was amazing.
Like on the surface, it looked great. But okay, it's not a good comparison because this one, what I was trying to say is that it's obviously very sexualized with the protagonist. Yeah. So sometimes that can be like the main thing that they got going for it. You know, it kind of looks great in the trailer.
I get that. Yeah.
So I wasn't too sure about it, but I liked the setting quite a bit. You know, the cities and stuff.
Yeah.
Karak was not impressed.
I just want more action games, you know, like, you know, that type of action games.
Yeah.
And I hope
so do I. That's why I'm holding out hope. What I saw a lot of times where there was like, it looked almost like an arena with her just fighting one guy. There was a lot of very controlled combat cuts that looked very suspicious to me.
True.
And it reminded me a little bit, this is going to sound really weird as a comparison, but bear with me. I remember when I was told about Horizon Zero Dawn's VR. And in my brain, I thought free motion, flexibility, blah, blah, blah. And then you found out you were just zapping around a character. This one looked at times like there's like almost an open world, like Xenoblade Chronicles or something. Like there were these cool parts, but then a lot of times they were cutting right when like the combat was ready to be shown. And I always get really nervous whenever that happens, because if your game is about combat, you might want to show the combat, you know. It's like, will there be dinosaurs in your dinosaur
more
part?
Than one sword attack.
Yeah, and so when I started seeing it, there was combat, by the way, don't get me wrong, but there were just these weird cuts where I was like, oh, odd. And then, I noticed some other things, but overall, it's still, I liked Bayonetta, and I loved Nier Automata and those kind of games. And we were talking prior to the podcast, we were saying, we just hope it's not a shiny butt. And I actually do, that is what I'm worried about, is that it is almost like somebody saw Nier and Bayonetta and is like, you know, but I also don't know their history. Does this company have, like, does the developer have this? So if the developer has a history of like good combat, then they may not need to show it because they, you know, they feel comfortable with it and they already, that's their thing.
I have no idea what the hell. They
I'm a little
made
stuffed
Goddess of Victory, Nikki, Destiny Child, Defense War Tower Defense. They're a South Korean game developer.
That is what Wannabe mentioned also. Was there a South Korean game developer? So, by the way, not in a bad way. That is just something that he had mentioned. So, because I was asking in the chat as well.
Well,
if anybody
that
knew
explains the sexualization. Because if you guys remember Lost Ark, that was, you know, like a lot of Korean games have pretty heavy.
Yeah, they're older. Emphasis. Yeah, obviously. I mean, Korea is number one, like their plastic surgery, right? Like beauty is like super important.
True.
Yeah.
But their past games were just like anime waifu games. Like you play a team of like K-pop stars and shit, but like cartoon. Yeah.
The thing about me is, and people can get mad all they want, man, but like when we come in here or whatever, unless it's a review and you have it, all I can say is what I'm seeing. And it's like, I know people, you know, I've seen people get mad. They're like, oh, you're being too hard on something. No, I'm not. I'm just saying, you know, it's like my job isn't to sit here and blow wind up somebody's ass. It's us talking. And if you and I were talking in the chat and you said this, I would say the same thing to you. I'd be like, what if it's just a pretty ass? It's like, and we just happen to be recording for the podcast. But it's like, especially with us, because I don't have connections to these companies or whatever. There's nothing I have to worry about. I'm not going to worry about what I say. And it's like what I saw looked unimpressive. What I didn't see, though, and I do want to point this out, what I didn't see was cheapness. And that actually, especially with Korean developer, you sometimes worry about possibly gotcha and all that kind of stuff.
The voice acting and the voice sync was
so what good. I saw, it didn't look cheap. And so that is actually so that's sort of why it's a little bit higher on my rating. And I did see it, and I remembered the name, which means a lot, because there's so many titles with like Stellar Blade. That's a terrible name. That's a mobile game name.
Heaven Sword or whatever.
Yeah. So, but what I saw it was more than enough to get me interested in it. It's just, I'm not sold on the female protagonist or male protagonist kind of game where they focus on that. Where it's like, here's this chick, and she's even Bayonetta only sold me when I played Bayonetta. It never sold me on Bayonetta.
Same with Nier, dude. Nier didn't sell me on the...
Yeah, Nier didn't sell me on that.
Wow, it's way deeper than I thought.
Right. And in fact, that's the best thing, is when there's a dichotomy, when you're like, oh, it could just be leather stockings and a maid's outfit or whatever. And then you play it and you're like, oh, wow, they sort of... That's the That's the juice. That's the difference. That's the unexpected part. So that's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah, same.
Well, what was the release date on Stellar Blade? Do we know?
April. April something.
Of 2024?
Of this year.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Whoa. Okay. I'll have to reach out. That's way earlier than what I thought for what we saw. Not saying quality-wise. I guess I just... Wow.
Yeah, it surprised me as well. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
April. Not a lot of stuff coming in April either that I know of. April's sort of dead,
I don't think
so that's a
anything
good
was
time
really
for April.
announced. Yeah.
Is it a free-to-play game? Does anybody know? Is that a free-to-play? Or is Stellar Blade? Is Stellar Blade a full... okay.
Full single-player, full price, yeah, I think.
Chris says Stellar Blade was before Rise of Ronin, $2. I don't know. If you're talking about in the showing, yeah, we're doing alphabetical...
yeah, that's what fucked me up. I was like, wait, does S come before R for a little bit? I was like, wait. Yeah, April 26th, so that's a good month after Dragon's Dogma, thankfully.
Yamaha Gaming, $2. They better make another motherfucking Ninja Gaiden. I agree. Ninja Gaiden's awesome. It's just, again, I don't know if it has a place right now. Gunter, $10 super chat. Sorry, guys. Man, it burns. Been watching for years. I appreciate you guys. Thinking about joining the YouTube channels. Discord included if I do. Yeah, it is. As a member, you get access to it. Game on Asa, $5. What's up, buddy? I'm here for the 3D platformer hate. Great to see you are well again, Karak. As I almost die right on camera. Yeah. I have pneumonia, but it's a light version of pneumonia. It won't take me down, man. I'll still be here hacking it up. With all the games that we've talked about prior, before we get to the next games, because... I already know we haven't covered Final Fantasy Rebirth yet, right? And that was shown.
Yeah. It wasn't even in the show, yeah. They're doing a separate thing for it.
They're doing a separate show. Okay, so we won't.
Yeah.
So how many do we have left? Stellar
we have
Blade.
3.
Oh, let's cover them. I'm sorry. Next one up.
Until Dawn Remaster.
I can't fucking wait.
You want to play it again?
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
That game got patched up because it had... I don't know if you remember, but Until Dawn released with like FPS issues, and it's a FMV style game. So you're like, dude, this sucks. They patched it up. I played it multiple times. I cannot wait, man. I cannot wait. Yeah, I'm excited as hell. Yeah.
It has that the actress from
Pantier?
The show Heroes.
Pantier. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And Remy Malek, cool. Right? Remy Malek's in it.
Oh, yeah.
And Dalton from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Bunch of people, man. I can't wait. It's going to be awesome, dude. Yeah. Did you do that, Abzi? Did you ever do Until Dawn?
Yeah, I did it with my ex at the time. It was really enjoyable. Really fun. It's fun.
Did you kill the evil chick who was mean to her football player boyfriend?
Yes.
Though? I let that chick die.
Yeah.
Dude,
100%.
Dude, I let her die. I hate there's always that character in those games, right? That you just hate. And I'm like, this character has to die.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Somebody did ask me, why is it not Until Dawn 2? And I can say 2 things. One, all those actors are in big movies now, except for Hayden. But Dalton's in one, and then Remy's been in Bond, and Mr. Robot and stuff. The amount of money is just ridiculous. So that's number one reason. Number 2 is, from what I understand, their relationship has fallen apart pretty heavily. So I think it's more like just doing something that's already been done. I think I had heard, and I think this is covered in an article, so I'm not speaking out of turn, but I think in an article somebody had even said that the Hunting Around of the Dark Pictures anthology, where they gave it to other people, there was some, like, it didn't sit well that it was on other platforms. I think there was some, like, back and forth there. Because this is Supermassive, right? Still Supermassive games?
Yeah, I think so.
Did you guys like any of the Dark Anthology games?
You know, I just kept hearing bad stuff from the other ones. Other than The Quarry isn't even Dark Anthology, right? But Man of Medan and the other one, I heard not good things. So I never really, you know, Until Dawn was the only one. And I really liked Until Dawn, so.
The Quarry I enjoyed a lot, but yeah.
What
about you,
Johnny?
I
only played
the Quarry is kind of good, yeah.
Yeah, kind of good.
Yeah, I only played The Quarry and Until Dawn from those.
What was the latest one? I think you reviewed it like
Ashes,
a year or two
Man
ago.
of Medan, Dark.
Is it The Quarry? Is it?
I reviewed The Quarry, though. The most recent. The most recent was The Quarry.
Okay, that's The Quarry. Okay.
Because The Quarry has the movie mode, which I tell everybody, every
like
one of
8
these horror
players?
games needs to have it. No, there's that mode too, but the movie mode lets you watch it as a movie and it kills random people. It plays the entire game. And so you just keep hitting.
Time?
Yes.
Nice.
It's
That's
primo.
Cool.
It's the way you should have all these games play out, man. It's so good.
It's a roguelike movie.
Terrible acting from a couple of the actors in Quarry, though.
Some goofy stuff. I saw some goofy stuff.
Teenage actors.
Oh, dude, worse than teenage. I mean,
it's like a campy horror movie, right?
Yeah.
Like
But I mean, they were pretty bad. Yeah, PS5 and PC, right? For Until Dawn.
I think so. I think so.
Man, it's awesome. I wouldn't tell people to hold off to play it because I don't know, graphically it looked amazing on the PS4. I don't know if you guys
PS5
remember.
And PC. Yeah,
that thing looked amazing.
It looked really good on PS4, yeah.
Yeah, so if you can get it cheap, you can play it now. But if not, it's well worth it. House of Ashes, thank you, Doom Reaper. I appreciate that. House of Ashes was the last of the Dark Pictures.
Dark Anthology. Yeah.
What else do you got?
V Rising. I am very excited for 1.0 release. I'm always excited for 1.0 releases. Games need to get out of early access, and V Rising is a really fun game. It's a vampire where you punch trees, but there's more to it, and it's really, really, really cool. And I'm glad it's coming out of early access. So,
and this is,
and it was already a good game.
Yeah. Could you guys describe it to me? What is it? I thought it was Vampire Survivors, but this is more like Diablo, right? In a weird way.
No, it's more like it's like. So this company made a game before, which was like an arena type of game, which was like kind of like League of Legends, but like no minions or anything. You're just kind of battling, a couple people in an arena. So they took that, they started making V Rising. Now V Rising is a survival game where you're a vampire. So there's the survival stuff where you collect wood and shit and like build stuff, but there's also the sun. You can't be under the sun. You gain powers. You go hunt these bosses, which is really cool, and you gain their powers. Like you kill a wolf boss, and now you can turn into a wolf. You set up, and
I see.
And that's really, really fun combat. And there's like PvP and stuff too. Like you can go into PvP servers or just PvE, and it's very engaging and a fun progression. So
how do you do a survival game in a Diablo style? Because I feel like Diablo is so chaotic and you're getting hit all the time, and that's sort of the thing about Diablo is you're also doing a ton of damage. How do you what's the survival? Are you taking, but you're a vampire, so you regenerate health?
Dodge.
Okay.
Like there's a dodge button, obviously, and there's dodge abilities and shield abilities and stuff. And when you suck someone's blood, you regain health. But every person has different quality blood and different type of blood. So like if you suck like a champion or you suck like a soldier or something, you get like their passive abilities and their the blood ranges, and you need to suck blood every once in a while and stuff. Cool mechanics, neat little vampire stuff. Yeah, you got to suck a lot of people.
Also, okay. I mean,
no, I meant like blood wise, like off.
Yeah, blood wise. Also, the sun hurts you.
Sometimes you got to squeeze the blood,
blood dry.
Yeah. So the sun hurts you. So during the day, when you're traveling around the world, you need to like use the shade of trees and stuff to stay safe. And sometimes you're fighting a boss and the sun comes out.
Yeah.
And you need to use the arena to your advantage. So maybe there's something giving shade,
like
or you can go inside a building.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, or you can maybe go inside a building. There's this stuff. And also, just to mention, the building is really good in it too.
Yeah.
You can, you build full-on castles, and the stuff looks awesome when you build it. And you start unlocking more stuff. The more like bosses you kill has a really cool progression to it.
Damn.
Yeah,
dude,
it's quite good.
I remember hearing about it, but I think in my brain, the other one, Vampire Survivors, overlapped with this, and I think my brain somehow in the last year has merged
at the same time.
Yeah, so when I saw it, people were excited, and I get why people like both, but I was like, Vampires, what 1.0? What are we talking about? But now I get it. So this has been in early access then.
Yeah, and I only played like 20 hours of it, and I was like, okay, I'm just gonna hold off until 1.0. I do that with a lot of early access games where I just hold off, so I'm glad. I want to see more of them come out.
And this is when you're building castles, I'm assuming Gothic cathedral castles, like Dracula-looking castles, kind of stuff that you build. Okay, gotcha. Huh.
Yeah,
interesting. Yeah, hadn't heard it. Hadn't really tracked that one at all. What else we got?
Last one, and I have no idea what the hell this is. I don't even remember it. It's probably some anime game, and it's called Zenless Zone Zero.
Dude. Or as Game Dev put it, 3 Z's to put you to sleep when you're watching the trailer.
3 Z's. There you go. Yeah, it's another, anime game where everyone yells something before they make an attack.
Oh God, yeah. Oh man.
Oh man, I was watching a stream of
like
Grand Blue Fantasy or whatever that came out because I was like curious, and it's the same shit. It's like every time someone makes an attack, they're yelling something out.
Lucky honorable horseshoe. I think with that game, the name is. We were laughing and just like, what is this name? More than watching. So I need to rewatch it to give an honest opinion of that one because I think I was just teasing it when I saw it, but it looked very generic JRPG-ish to me from the little I remember seeing. What about you, Johnny? Did you check out ZZZ?
No, sorry, I didn't actually see that.
Ooh, boy,
I don't even remember it.
That's interesting. That and I did, and I don't remember much. So it didn't grab, I guess, would be the easiest.
No, because I watched a recap of the stuff that came out, and that one I think I saw the beginning and I just skipped because I wasn't.
Well, again, that still proves my point that even if in a recap you're like, yeah, this is not for me or whatever. Yeah. Was that all the direct games?
Time to play childlike looking people fighting enemies. That was all. Yeah, that was all. Yep, that was all.
I think also this direct wasn't amazing or anything, but it was a nice, solid direct. They showed some gameplay of stuff. It sounds like they announced a release date or two, a VR game that was surprising because I didn't expect a Metro VR game. So I think overall, it was a pretty good direct.
Yeah, it was pretty.
I mean, I don't love directs, but yeah, I had fun. I just watched it and I was like, okay, it's got, they covered what they needed to cover. I think people blow the directs out of, the direct is gonna. They're
oh my god, they didn't announce the PS6, dude.
Yeah, God, dude, it's like. That's why I love the companies being able to do directs because you can do it more often and you don't have to slam every. Instead, just be like, here's some games, guys. Here's some stuff. Dragon's Dogma 2, was that shown in it? Did we miss that one?
Yeah, we
it was.
I think we missed that. Sorry, we missed that one. They showed off a new vocation where you're the jack of all trades, master of none. But the one thing, dude, I wish we had an ability in Dragon's Dogma that let us leap onto the dragon like that, dude.
I don't have video for this one, unfortunately.
Oh man,
yeah, dude,
the staff guy.
The staff guy, the ability to switch out. What's he called?
The vocation, war. Fuck, man. Let me check.
Where he can switch.
Warfarer, I think, something like that.
I mean, Dragon's Dogma. I said this right when they started showing it. I was like, actually, I don't need to see much more of Dragon's Dogma 2. I'm ready to play Dragon's Dogma 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like well. I'm going to be honest, I'm excited about it, but I don't know how even in depth I can talk about it here because I really saw them showing it, and I'm not like you guys where I don't mind trailers. I'm just at the point to where I don't need to think about it anymore. It's like, okay, what I've seen is what I've seen, and it'd be great to experience it. And it looks as good as Dragon's Dogma can look. Doesn't look amazing, but the combat looks awesome.
Looks really good though.
Yeah, the combat looks way better than the first.
Yeah, because Dragon's Dogma 1, I've been playing it on my Steam Deck, Arisen.
Right? Yeah. And it works well on the Steam Deck, I'm sure.
It works great on the Steam Deck, and it's still a great game. But admittedly, the combat is a bit crunchy, some of the animations or like how it connects with monsters. Yeah. But when you look at that video for Dragon's Dogma 2, like you were parrying the monster and like breaking parts of his face.
Monster Hunter, dude. Monster Hunter.
Well, this is what I was telling Karak. That reminded me of Monster Hunter, but the movement actually seemed responsive as opposed to Monster Hunter where you need to like hold the button for 2 seconds to get into the...
And no, but seriously, like the big sword guy has the same like charge attacks and shit. Like it's really...
Yeah, it looked very cool.
Monster Hunter plus Skyrim plus, what's it called?
I had heard it was going to be 30.
Warfare. Sorry, Warfare. There we go.
Warfare was what one?
The class that can switch to all the classes.
Warfare. Oh, gotcha. I had heard 30 FPS. Listen, I don't care until I play it. I'm going to play it.
Yeah.
What what I saw looked above 30, but I also, it's YouTube. And it's like if they edited that with Premiere, they could just use fucking interpolation or blending. You never know until you really get it and start counting. And I'm not going to load this up and count. But what I did see looked pretty smooth. I will say this, man, because I lived through Dragon's Dogma 1's release, and that thing was just rough as fuck when it released. I mean, it was low resolution. It was janky. It was still great. It was 25 to 27 FPS on 360 back in the day. I still remember seeing, huge drops in some places. Everything about it looks much smoother. I think probably 30 FPS. Maybe there's a performance mode, which I'd be really happy to see them do because they've switched.
Engine. Like it's gonna be smooth, man.
That's what I was just saying is since they have switched it, my assumption is there might be a performance mode in there. But the thing is, whenever we start talking about FPS, you just get this just delineation of like, okay, then it's fucking absolutely lazy devs.
And now people are saying 30 on PC. Apparently, they're conflating everything. Shit.
Yeah, dude. Like, what the fuck? See, and that's the problem. Is like 30 on PC. What are you talking about?
It's also like we've seen some great 30 FPS games, man. Even action games like Ghost of Tsushima. That thing played well on PS4 original, man.
Absolutely.
At 30.
Yeah, it was very
great.
smooth.
Would I love 60?
Even Zelda.
Yes.
Yeah.
Will it kill me? No. It would just be a game that maybe I'll play on the PC. Maybe I'll get both versions. I also love having my console. I have my PC and my console both connected to the TV, but sometimes your PC will give you an error you've never seen before. It'll be like error 87094 blah 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 blah.
Yeah,
and you're like, what?
You don't want to have to interact
sometimes
with
I'm just
stuff,
like, well, I guess I'll just do the console version, and hope you don't get an error there unless you're playing Cyberpunk.
Yeah.
I'm starting to get stuffy. I'm going to take a pill. But I would say overall what I saw of all of these games from Sony, they looked good, nothing, stunning. I think Final Fantasy is your big one. And Final Fantasy Rebirth, I mean, dude, the stuff I've seen of that makes me like a Final Fantasy game, which is pretty rare. I've only liked 3.
Yeah. And I am not watching the whatever they show because they love to spoil Final Fantasy games in the trailers. They love it.
Yeah, yes, I'm at that
all
point.
The games.
Like you were
show
saying,
me all the boss fights. Don't leave anything.
Yeah. No.
Go ahead, Johnny.
Like I've filled my interest bar to the point where I know I want to play that, right? Like Dragon's Dogma, I'm there. Final Fantasy, I'm there. I really don't want to see more.
I think also, I mean, especially with Final Fantasy, well, those guys in particular, not only do they spoil it, but because they've stated some things might change, like their idea of spoiling it isn't even like the old Final Fantasy VII idea of spoiling it. They could spoil, for people who know the lore inside and out, and they could spoil that, and that would be rough, and they don't seem to care. So people have a little inside baseball for reviewing. Normally with reviewing, what you'll do is you'll get your footage, and it used to be safe to grab trailers. So I would have my footage, and I'd have the official trailers. Official trailers are usually cut very nicely. They'll be like, here's some cool combat, blah, blah, blah. So you can intersperse it in your first 30 seconds saying, Dragon's Dogma has been announced, blah, blah, blah. And you have this awesome edited, little bit, and you can really do flashy. Everybody does it. The problem is now the trailers are spoiling everything. And you get this point where you're like, I want to show that I beat the game, or I want to show that I did this, but then you have people who are like, everything's a spoiler. And I used to be able to say, hey, listen, it's in the trailer. And now you just can't, man. Some of these companies will spoiler the biggest.
Final Fantasy 16, man, spoiled like every boss fight, dude.
Well, dude, Yakuza, the last Yakuza spoiled a bunch of stuff in his cutscenes, and I unfortunately had one in my review. I was just
dude,
like,
they spoiled me with like one of the biggest things. They spoiled me hard, Yakuza, in their official trailer. The big thing they spoiled me on.
They just have no thought process for it. I don't understand why.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to go take a pill real quick. Well, let's jump from that. That was the direct, right? Let's talk about Suicide Squad. Yeah. So first of all, Johnny, you're playing it, right?
I'll be playing it today.
Have you played it at all?
No, it hadn't launched in time.
Absy, have you played it?
No.
Well, then I can't leave because I'm the only one who's played it. Okay, no, I gotta leave. I got to take this pill.
Okay.
Let's talk about Palworld. Palworld hit like 80 billion copies. Did you guys see that?
Yeah, let's talk about Palworld.
So talk about Palworld. Who's played it and what did you like? I'll be right back.
80 billion? All right.
Well, not
that's
that many.
Wait,
Not that
80
many.
million. Okay.
Have you
did
played
you play it?
Absi?
No. Have
No,
you?
I haven't played it either. I did
Oh my
watch.
God,
No, but I
what is
have
wrong
watched.
with you freaks?
I have watched people.
Okay,
And so have
load
you,
up the
Absi.
sales.
Don't
Let's
pretend.
at least talk about the sales. Also, did you guys see that the Pokemon thing was faked? The guy who said that they were like Pokemon, he faked it. Did you guys hear about that? He brought up the models and said, "Oh, these models are identical," and then later admitted that he had faked the size of the models and stuff when he overlapped them.
Oh,
so,
shit, okay.
Yeah. Anyway,
Interesting.
talk about Palworld.
Yeah, okay. So
yeah,
what
go
about
for
you?
it.
Yeah,
No,
I'll go
you
for
got
it.
something?
I personally don't have much interest. Like, I'm not a huge Pokemon guy. I mean, I'm Sujimon and Yakuza is pretty cool. I love, that's pretty
Yeah,
fun.
yeah.
Like
Pokemon, because it's
Pokemon, because it's like 40-year-old men and you get to like pet them and shit. It's weird. But like because Palworld came out and then Enshrouded came out, and the one that caught my eye a lot is Enshrouded because it looked like I saw my friend playing it and it had a lot of cool depth and shit. It looked really, really fun. What about you? Are you into those types of games?
Well, I just pulled up some numbers here. So Palworld hit 19 million players across Steam and Xbox. So I mean, that's insane, right?
Dude. That's like league numbers, dude.
Dude, I think it's the Pokemon formula is so like, I don't know how to say it, but people have been in this monogamous, abusive relationship with Pokemon. And the moment that someone else is doing Pokemon, people are super happy and they jump into it. There was another Palworld similar game that came out like a couple of years ago that was also like pals and you captured them as well. And people also love that. I think there's something really compelling for people with the Pokemon thing.
What's
catching
hilarious
them.
that you can subject them to slavery and give them weapons and shit and have them fight for you, and you can whip them if they don't.
Not only that, Abzi, but you beat them. You beat the crap out of them into submission, and then you catch them for forever, right?
Yeah.
And they have to work for you. But it's really cute, like the animations when you walk around your base, and it's like, oh, one dude is, he's like peeing in your garden. Another one is like carrying some logs for you. Another one is like repairing something. It is.
So what is it about this game that like captured so many, like, what is it?
It's a survival game with Pokemon breeding is what it is. I mean, that's
but like that much, dude, to do like to set records.
Yeah, because I mean, survival can do really well, right? When it hits, we know that like people get really hooked, right? Yeah. But then again, like the Pokemon thing, there's something to that just like grabs people.
And you can collect normal people and have them be your pals.
Dude, you can catch people too, by the way.
People. Yeah, you can catch humans.
Like just like the pals. Yeah.
Like real life people? Like
like dudes. And they will like repair your base for you and stuff.
What the fuck? Yo, it'd be cool if you can capture like another like multiplayer, like your friend or something, and then and they have to like they have no choice but to.
No, with Palworld in Enshrouded.
Yeah, Enshrouded is the one that really.
I was right.
That's the one I really want to play at some point.
Well, I was going to say it also did well. Did you see that they've sold over 1 million also?
That's awesome. That's amazing.
Yeah.
And I've seen the reviews go up. Like it was mixed, I think, and now it's like a very positive. I saw my friend was playing it, and I was like foaming out the mouth.
I think the only thing is you have to know with Enshrouded that there is nothing special about it. It does what it does well.
Yeah.
So it's just. And it's early
like
access,
voxel based, which is cool. Like you can dig deep.
My
friend, what I saw, what really interested me is like my friend was just like exploring. The map is massive, by the way, and Enshrouded. He was just exploring around and stuff, and he found like a little gravestone. Yeah. He's like, "Hey, what if I dig this up?" And he dug it up and found like a really cool sword. And I was like, "Holy shit, I love that. It's really cool."
Yeah, it works. It just works for what it's trying to do. It's not. You have to go into it knowing it's not. It sounds really bad, and it's doing well, but it's not special. It does exactly what it's trying to do very well.
That's good,
I personally, as an early access game, I still had some FPS issues and a couple, little bugs, nothing crazy. But the building was probably the best part. Yeah, because like you could do. I didn't have enough items, and I just wanted to like sort of see how you could build, and I ended up there was a big hill near the base that I set up, and I was able to I tunneled it out like a Hobbit house, And then I didn't have any upgrades to put illumination yet. I hadn't unlocked those for my crafting. So I threw a torch in there, and the torch stayed lit. And it sounds dumb, but just that, where it stayed lit, it didn't go out. I was like, oh, okay, you can sort of be flexible with how you build things, how you do things, what you can expect from the game. It's just a good, solid game. Combat's a little wonky, but I will say another reason why I think this grabbed people is it's a lot of Zelda. A lot.
Stamina, the circle stamina bar. I saw.
Glider. You have a glider right out of Zelda. You've got the rappel hook like a lot of games, but there's a lot of tool use in it that feels like a Zelda game. Not as in depth, and certainly not building fucking cars and shit like you can in Zelda, but just the ability to like place things. Yeah, the voxel building looks really good too.
It's weird that Zelda set a trend. Like I didn't even see that coming. Where like Genshin and like a lot of these games, a lot of animal games.
Yeah, it's good, man. And then back to what is it? Palworld. What the fuck's it called? Palworld.
Oh yeah, I thought you were talking about Palworld because Palworld.
No, that
like
was
Zelda.
Enshrouded. Palworld also.
Enshrouded as well.
Like, yeah, Enshrouded has a glider and everything. Enshrouded right out of Zelda. Sorry,
I thought you were talking about Palworld. Yeah,
no, Palworld's just got the goofy-looking, cute Pokemon, and I heard Johnny say that like they're in an abusive relationship. It is so true. It's like a loveless marriage where they're still friends, and then, the Lothario comes around and is like, hey. And, one or the other leaves. They're like, oh, that is what's happening here. Like, Pokemon's just had it's had shit releases. People still like the games, but there's been all kinds of issues, and everybody knows there are. And these guys did a really good job. I mean, you could say copying it. I think they did copy it. There's a lot of copy bits to it. But it's worked really well. It's got some of the worst pathing and bugs I've ever seen in a game, though. And
jankiness and animations.
And that reminded me of what people lived with for Pokemon. That's the thing. Their expectations were like, can I walk forward? Yes, great game. Yeah. And by the way, man, people are loving it, dude. The numbers
people are loving it.
What'd you say, league numbers? Because I had my headphones on. You said something like those are league numbers?
19 million players. Yeah, it's crazy.
Xbox as well. Those guys are happy as clams. It exploded in Asia. Yeah, dude, it's doing insane numbers, man. It's crazy. I played it and I was like, I'm never going to play it again. I played it. It was pretty fun, but
I bought it but never played it.
Oh, you haven't even turned it on?
Just because. Nope. I bought it just because I don't know if it's FOMO, but I was like, oh, everyone's playing it. Maybe I should just have it in my library.
I want an animal breeder. And then you get it and you're like, not really. Yeah.
I never launched it.
Johnny, are you going to get it?
No. I
thought you liked these kind of games.
No. Oh. I like survival games, but it has to be a good survival game.
Right.
And the fact is, the survival elements in the game are a bit shit.
Yeah.
In my opinion, I don't like the building. I don't like the other survival stuff that's in there that barely is. Like, I guess you can eat and stuff, but it really is about the pals. And I'm sort of done with that, I think, at this point.
It's really about the pals. The pals and the human slavery.
About the pals.
Very odd game. Very odd game.
Yeah.
Hush Al Ghul, $2 super chat. What makes Pokemon so addictive?
I think collectathon, like collecting them, right?
Yeah.
Gotta catch them all. I think that's like the main driving force.
And we can rationalize about it, but at the end of the day, it's one of those like struck gold type situations where like people found something that works, right? And
yeah. Can I just say it's interesting we're talking about Pokemon and you are dressed like a Pokemon trainer?
Yeah, true.
Because I have
I just realized in the orange shirt. Well, I guess not the orange shirt. You're right.
Like,
but for some reason, I looked over and I was like, "What the hell?" I felt like we were in the Matrix for a second. Yeah, dude. You're absolutely right. Struck gold is right, but also everything we see right now that's huge is collectathons. Whether it be achievements and people want to collect those, there's something about it. And somebody collecting comics. I mean, if you make a good game or a generically okay game around collecting, there's a chance you're going to do really well, man. Mm-hmm. They also copied that art style that's that soft, furry animal. Like,
yeah,
I don't even know what the term or what the name is for that art style, but all the animals have that really soft, goofy, quirky look to them that Nintendo or not Nintendo, but Pokemon Company's been good at.
That helps because it doesn't feel as bad when you beat them up into submission.
Yeah, imagine it was like realistic, like you're beating dogs and shit. And
and if they bled. Imagine if they bled, like when you hit them.
Like, oh my god!
Because now it's all fluffy, and you can even grab a sheep and use it as a shield. It's called a fluffy shield, and when enemies hit it, she like cries like But it's all weird.
I heard that.
People still. Graphics matter, right? If it's cartoony like that, it's okay. You're just like,
it's okay.
It's fun. Yeah, Sorry, what were we gonna say, Abzi? Go ahead.
I was just gonna say I heard a lot of cool things though. Like each pal has like a different passive and active and stuff. Taking them into the combat, give you different things. You can ride them, and so there's stuff there that.
Well, Arc worked, and Arc ran at 12 frames per second on the Xbox and was super popular. Arc worked because and this is just a cartoony version of Arc, and in many ways, you're training animals, you're collecting them. That kind of stuff is. I mean, I will say it was really janky, man. I was trying to, like, their tutorials weren't popping for me, and I was having all kinds of issues when I was playing. But once I gathered a couple, built them beds, and they started defending my house. And then they go and they like get the supplies. You see them bringing them back, and there's sort of that feeling of building something that I can see why people love.
Yeah. But no, when I saw my friend playing Enshrouded, that definitely gave me the itch. Like I got itchy for it. But I think I'll wait. I think I'll wait until it's more developed.
I
sure.
was just gonna say, do not expect a Valheim level of content in a game.
Yeah, no, I'm waiting.
Day one Valheim's
even
early
with
access.
Its massive map, because it's massive. Map is
You mean
massive.
in Enshrouded?
Yeah, huge.
So it is, but the thing about it is a lot of it is the shroud itself. So it's not traversable.
It's like
unlimited
the Dark
amount of
Zone
time.
thing, right?
Yeah, but it's constantly being poisoned. So you're being poisoned. You have a timer, and you can only be down there.
Like these little spots. To
yeah. But it is what it does have a big map. It looks pretty good. It doesn't look as good. Valheim sometimes looks amazing, sometimes looks really rough. But I would still say I liked Valheim's overall look better than this one as well. Let's move on to Suicide Squad. So I did a poll, started asking people what they thought of Suicide Squad. Crazy enough, so far haven't ran into somebody who hates it. And I would say that the time I've spent in Suicide Squad has taught me a couple things. One, when you understand the mediocrity of like truly bad level design like Avengers had times where you would go into a tunnel and then it would go back on itself and that was it for the entire level. Despite them having superheroes, it goes to show that it's not like Pokemon. Even which just something about Pokemon is different than X-Men. You put X-Men in a game, if it's bad, people are still going to respond like it's bad. Avengers had a ton of issues, and one of them was gameplay and level design. And then you do Gotham Knights, and Gotham Knights had a bunch of different issues, including the 30 FPS and all that. Dude, I'm playing Suicide Squad. It is way more enjoyable than both those games. It's ridiculously enjoyable compared to those. Is it the greatest game in the world? No. Is it anywhere near what I've seen, like some people online have been saying? No. It's really almost unfortunate, man, because like as I'm playing it, I'm all, if we pretend this is terrible, and I'm talking like Gene Rain terrible, which is the response you're hearing from people. If we pretend this is terrible, all it does is color every single interaction we have with games moving forward, including devs, publishers, ourselves, PR, everybody, including games. And the idea, if you have a friend who says Suicide Squad is terrible, then their level to the next game is at a bar that is going to be insanely hard to hit for even great, because it is not that low. And what I'm worried about is I play it and I see it and I'm like, okay, it's not like wowing me. Some really good combat in it at times, some really good cutscenes at times. Some good
boss fights are meh. Like
boss fights are yeah. Admittedly, I've had issues with boss fights in all the games I just mentioned as well, though. Maybe that's where they can't hit, right? Even Spider-Man had an issue with a couple boss fights, but
oh yeah, me too. Yeah.
All that aside, it's a uncomfortable. Man, we're in a weird situation right now because I'm looking at it going. So if you look at Gotham Knights and this, Gotham Knights wasn't terrible. I saw people saying, "Oh, it made them weep with how terrible it was." I just would say play more games. Because if we're at the point where we're saying those are terrible, horrible games, and they do everything that they're supposed to do, but they're maybe blah, we're in deep shit, man. Like, we're in a hardship level where that expectation is, we joke about, where you expect, you have the hot girlfriend, you expect every girlfriend to match, that perfection you've had, and you start looking at everything. Because I've seen, luckily, a lot of reviewers are reviewing it late, and they're like, oh, this actually isn't nearly as bad as I thought it was. But I saw people saying it was absolutely the worst game, and they had played Redfall. And I got to tell you, I mean, that's even objectively, that's a very difficult conversation. Like, I feel like it would be very easy for all of us to sit down, and you guys who don't review games and don't care to, have no desire to, would still be able to pick apart that argument quite easily.
Yeah.
Like without difficulty would be able to be like, wait, what? Where are we going with this conversation? So I don't know, man. It's enjoyable. Is it great? No. Would I give it a buy? I don't know, because I haven't beat it. But I would say it's shorter than I think.
I think it's more like end game centric, right? It's more like centered towards not the story.
No. I don't believe that. I don't. I mean, yeah. There's so I haven't beat it, and the story has been fine. It's been a different style of story, but I don't know that part yet. So I guess I can't say if it's in game. What I was saying was the story I know is shorter than most, and I'm probably 3/4 of the way, about 9 hours. I know you can rush it in a faster amount of time, but I'm playing it organically, just exploring it and doing that kind of stuff. But
for me, like, for a person who's just like looking from the outside, like I didn't really play it or whatever. The things that popped up, I don't really care. Like, I love the Arkham games. I enjoy them a lot. I'm not like huge into like Arkham lore, and I'm not like if they decide to do stuff other than Arkham, I'm like totally on, like, whatever, do whatever you want. Like, the game's good. The gameplay looked fantastic for me personally, especially like boomerang gameplay that I've seen looks really, really cool, like really fun. But the only thing I guess many people are fed up with, but me included, is like having that, the usual live service stuff, like having to be online and then the server goes down and you can't just play. Stuff like that is just the usual stuff that I could say about like so many other games now that I'm like kind of desensitized to it to a point. So with games like this, it's like with games like this, it's like, oh, I see that it's fun. It's like, how long is it going to be fun? For a while, or would it be like fun for a couple hours, or like would it be, that's like the main point of contention, I guess. Yeah. What
were you going to say, Johnny?
I was going to say they are adding a full offline mode. Yeah. And also all the content is soloable if you want to just solo it, without playing with people. Another cool thing is that you can play with your squad, but you can equip like your squad with your own gear that you've got for the other classes, and they tag along with you, and it's like AI, right? It's AI companions if you want to play it that way. So you're kind of like crafting your own squad, which is pretty cool for people who don't want to like team up.
I think they fucked up because we know that offline is possible. So, and they are patching that in. I think that's a big screw up of just.
Did you find any issues with like the usual like currencies or like gear system not being that great or something like that?
Gear system's okay. It's not. I'm trying to think of what we would consider to be a top tier gear system in a game like that.
Honestly, I don't like a lot of looter shooters. Gear system.
Right. Like,
because they're all just like power level and shit, and you just look at one number and you get more. And then I just hate the idea, like these new live service games where they're not new, like they've been going on for a while, where it's like anything is random, like legendary. You don't have to work for anything. You just kind of drops, if you get lucky, stuff like that.
I would say this feels less live servicey to almost being zero live servicey compared to Gotham Knights.
Gotcha.
Also, the traversal is a 1 billion, gillion, jillion times better in this. It's not even...
Yeah, no, traversal looks really good.
Holy shit. Traversal works in this and just really didn't in Gotham, even though later on you get abilities, and this just works a lot better. It feels like you can move around. But yeah, it's going to be an odd discussion because I get it that it's a review. So everybody, and even people that I talk to, what they're saying, it doesn't mean it's the end result. But what was interesting was I was DMing as many people as I could, unless I could glean exactly what they were saying in Discord. If they were talking that they played it, I was DMing them. And I was asking them what they liked, and it's just like, almost to a T, all of them had stated the same thing, was that they knew it wasn't a Batman game. And so therefore, they played it for what it is, which is $60 for a Suicide Squad game, not $60 for a not Batman game. That is what I took from everybody who liked it. Was just like, I know it's not, I mean, they made it clear. It's like, you're not playing Batman. That's not what it is. It's like this different group of people doing something inside of these, inside of this world. And it works, man. I've enjoyed it. I've had a good time. Like I said, movement's really good, actually, compared to what I was expecting. I would say it's not the best in the world, certainly not Spider-Man level. But yeah, it's an odd conversation, man, because I'm seeing, luckily, like I said, I've actually seen a lot of people who cover them because server was shut down. I've been seeing them say, oh, wow, this is not what I was sold, unlike the early coverage. So that'll cause some discussion, which I think is
Was
good.
early coverage different? I thought it was like very consistently, like from the moment I saw the first trailer, I was like, oh, this is going to be a game as a service game, isn't it?
I
It's
think
gonna be
that
like a
coverage
four-player.
was. I think that coverage was normal. I think there was some. I think the big question really started when WB smartly. I think I told Johnny this. WB smartly dropped the NDA for gamers when they saw the journalist response to the game.
Oh, the alpha.
And the normal gamers were like, "Dude, what? Like, now I can talk about it." And even our Discord exploded. Like the moment the NDA dropped, people were like, "Dude, I don't know what these guys are talking about." Like there were people eating up videos of people saying like, "Oh, I got hit by nothing," and people were like cutting up the video, going, "There's a bad guy or there's like an explosive he walked on right there." There's videos of this where people were just tearing up the people covering the game, and so there was this weird situation where when you're not able to talk about a game, you just have to sort of sit on it. And a lot of gamers were sort of leaking what they thought. You saw it in Reddits, all this kind of stuff. But once they smartly dropped the NDA, what I noticed was a lot of normal gamers being like, actually, and maybe they had just come off of Gotham Knights or something, but they were like, actually, this isn't anywhere near as bad as we're being told. So it's a very odd situation, man. I don't know. I worry because it's like, there's truly bad games. That is not it.
Yeah, I found it very disappointing because a lot of big reviewers, they had the thumbnails with terrible on it, right? And you go into the video and they're spending 15 minutes talking, and very little of it is actually about the game itself. It's
about expectations, maybe.
It's either it's like, yeah, they wanted an Arkham game and it's not, or it's like, oh, the story makes no sense, like, this thing doesn't make sense with like the universe. It's like things at different levels, but very little of it are actually complaints about the game itself. In fact, what is disappointing too is that they are forced to mention at some point that, well, actually there were some great things, like the movement was pretty great, and they're actually like praising some big elements of the game while still having the terrible tagline and selling that as the main thing. When they talk about the gameplay, it's really fairly positive overall. So
yeah,
that's
what I got from
picture.
the people I've talked to as well, which was interesting because I didn't do early hands-on other than a little bit with, luckily one of our Discord guys had a code for one of the betas. And messing around with it, I was like, I really like haven't noticed anything, egregious yet. And then now that we're seeing people play it and stuff like that, it's especially we've had like I think 6 or 7 people in our stream it, in our Discord streaming it, and they probably sold a lot of copies by streaming it. Where a lot of people are like, oh wow, this is actually looks like it's a blast, and this person's having fun, so maybe I'll get it. But I think maybe our terms are just out of control. The terms, the big words, it can't just be this is disappointing or this has issues here, but it's great here. And we joked about this, Johnny, last week. I think it might have been the week prior, but somebody asked me, talk about a game you love, but one problem in that game. And I mentioned a single issue with Borderlands, and our entire chat was like, "Why is he hating on Borderlands?"
Got defensive.
It's like, what? What are you talking about? I was literally, that's a question from a person who asked me to mention one thing about a game I liked. So, I don't know, man. The discussion around it is really weird. Really like, well, I guess it's not too weird. We've been seeing the hyperbolic, all that hyperbole like bouncing around about all this kind of stuff already.
Last year especially.
So, yeah. I think that a lot of gamers feel burned, including myself, on service games and stuff. So you hear service game, you hear it's Rocksteady and they're not doing Batman. You hear these kind of things and you're like, oh, it's got a lot of expectations to it. But for me, I know what kind of car I'm buying.
Yeah.
I know what kind of food I'm buying. I know what kind of game I'm buying.
And they have a roadmap. They're saying, oh, we're going to have playable characters coming out, here, here, and here. You can access most of it for free if you buy the game. It's
I'd
kind of
like to see people who liked Outriders, actually. By the way, this is an important thing. I would love to see people who liked Outriders who played this and tell me if they like this as well or don't, because I could see some similarities. Even this is open world, but Outriders' reaction was incredibly negative versus
because I remember I enjoyed playing it despite
and I had some issues with it, but it wasn't the worst game ever. What were you gonna say?
Like it. Yeah, it wasn't the worst game ever. I just didn't like it. No, I just like what intrigues me the most in games like this is the movement, the high octane kind of stuff you can do, like how stylized can you, the style points that you can get, and watching Boomerang gameplay.
Look cool as a bad guy
really
beating
cool.
up a bunch of guys.
Dude, just teleport around and shit. I don't care that much about the story. I'm not like super invested in like the DC world or whatever, so I don't. But I can see like people who love that stuff being, I saw some stuff, but
in terms of the shop, they are selling skins, and the way that works is you buy in-game currency with real money. So something like $10 will get you enough for a skin. So just so people know that it's
like
in
Assassin's
there.
Creed.
Yeah, I think it's reasonable, and the skins look good, right? If you're into the game and you want to invest into it.
They do. They look okay.
Can you earn skins in game? Like, can you earn?
You earn some unlockables in game, but I haven't unlocked. I mean, I've unlocked weapons that you get, that kind of stuff. I haven't really unlocked any. It's not in the same. So how Spider-Man has like 25 suits? It's not like that. There's not that much stuff.
Is it the sense that like the paid for stuff just looks way better than the?
No, but that's also, I'm not a DC fan. I'm not a comic book fan in that way, where I'm like, oh, the 1980s suit is the suit that's accurate with the triangle and Spider-Man. I'm not like that. I usually just look at a suit and go, I like this. You're talking to somebody who felt that Assassin's Creed Valhalla, one of the first items I got was one of the best looking, even better looking than the buyable ones. So I was
like
just like,
or the Raven gear.
I got the Raven with the nose. I fucking thought that was primo. Yeah, dude. I would be high level and everybody's decked out in fiery flame gear, and I'm the guy still looking like the $2 Raven.
You gotta be lore friendly, dude. You gotta be, it's like silver. You gotta be historically accurate.
But it is what it is. Yeah, it's been interesting to see. It was great to talk, and I want to say thanks. I talked to Frankie this morning. I told him I'd shout out his name, even though he didn't ask. But a lot of people in the Discord have been open with, like, I told them I was going to talk about it. I wanted to know what their thoughts were towards what they've experienced versus what they heard. Because even myself, when I do a review, I want to make sure that my wording is right. And it can be quite easily... It can be easy to be flexible with your wording until suddenly everything is amazing or everything is terrible.
Yeah.
And I think it's good even for me to go, all right, I got to make sure that I'm, like this. If I love something, I love it. If I dislike something, I dislike it. But that is not the same as it being bad. And I think that's where we are right now, is like, oh, I just don't like this. It is terrible now. And it can happen to me. It can happen to anybody. So thank you guys, everybody who gave me some data in Discord. You guys rock. Answering some questions in Twitter real quick.
By the way, just before, I'm very sorry, but just before we move on, can I ask you a quick question there? So I saw some people saying that not giving codes to reviewers in advance was like immoral. They should be ashamed and stuff. I don't know if you want to weigh in on that. Do you think they should, like, in terms of, is it not consumer friendly to not give reviewers codes? How do you view that?
You're not owed.
It's definitely not consumer friendly, right? It's not. You're not owed, but like it's obviously when like the standard is like you get reviews before a game comes out. It's probably more not consumer friendly to not do that, right?
That's a lot of negatives.
Yeah. It's not. So first of all, there is absolutely no expectation for codes ever. The other, though, is that, is it consumer friendly or is it consumer expectation? And there is a difference. So for a smart consumer, you're already looking at reviews, right? You're looking at things to decide to buy. If there are no reviews, what does that tell you? That there were no codes. So to me, that is a review at this point. If there is no review, that is a review. There is nobody who has finished it. There is no review. Therefore, I would not get the game. That to me is also information. It's negative space information. I guess it's like
people's obsession with playing it day one. Or
people's obsession is day one. So there is that. However, when you have servers and all this kind of stuff, and like I said, there's another game coming out that's doing the same thing that doesn't have the negativity. But the reason why you're not seeing articles about it, why? Because a lot of these guys wrote articles pretending that was the number one reason they knew Suicide Squad was going to be bad. So you can't write an article about the article you just wrote 2 days ago and not sound like a jackass. So that's why we're not seeing a lot of those people talking about it. It will be talked about later, I'm sure. But right now, you're not seeing a lot of people talk about it because a lot of people will walk themselves into a hole and be like, this is proof. That's why you never say it's proof, because you'll see somebody say 0 day review embargoes are proof. No, they're not. God of War had 0 day review embargoes. We've had multiple amazing games have review embargoes day one, and we've had multiple shitty games have reviews a week prior.
2 weeks, 3 weeks,
so
for sure.
But what you're talking about, friendly, yeah, and the expectation is there that you have it, but there's also a technical expectation that if it is a server-based game and you are trying to get those things worked out, there's just going to be a time where it doesn't always work, and that's what happened. The thing is everybody likes to treat every company as if they all work for the same company, and they don't. So these guys, a well-known developer, weren't able to get their servers ready in time or felt that it didn't make sense, and so we didn't get it. We've seen shitty companies do that, and we all assume it's on purpose. Many times it probably is, but there are also times where it's not. So I just think it's really hard to average it. It doesn't make sense to average it. My personal opinion is, don't buy the fucking thing unless you know that that money is gone. You are gambling every time you buy something. That's just the way the real world works. You're gambling when you buy a car that has 100% amazing reviews. Why? Because lemons exist. I know. I've had one. I've had a car that had some of the best ratings of all time have a wheel fall off. The fuck? Like, it just happens. So,
yeah.
As intelligent consumers, if you want to get in day one, I get it, but you are taking a risk, right? You are. I mean,
especially if you pre-order, right?
Yeah.
Because some people are like, not even day one. They're just like...
And I personally believe in not pre-ordering, but you guys know that too. So
yeah,
to
the
me,
intelligent
it's even
consumer wouldn't pre-order.
Exactly. I don't believe in pre-ordering. So if people get mad and think like I'm shilling for a company, no, I'm saying the opposite. I'm saying don't give them shit. Don't give them nothing ever. Don't give a company any cent ever that you've ever had until the actual product is out, and then you can make
especially
whatever
when it's not
decisions
scarce. You know, like it's not running out.
Yeah, it's not running out.
And you can bet that if this other game you were talking about that is also doing the day one release for everybody, if that turns out to be, let's say, a bad game, you can bet that they're going to link it and they're going to say, you know, here's another example or another proof of if a code is not given, it means it's a bad game.
$20
conspiracy theories.
It is.
But if the opposite happens, they wouldn't right, of course say they would.
Of course they would. James $20 says Doom 2016 was 0 day 2. Pretty good game. Everyone was worried it was going to be crap. Bethesda had a couple 0 days, I believe.
Yeah, it's been proven time and time again. We keep saying that. Remember, even in Discord, we've said that over and over again, where it's like, oh, it's not indicative of anything. It could be a good game, it could be a bad game.
Yeah. But on a server-based game, it's going to happen occasionally. Now, on a free-to-play,
that's also
not a free-to-play, but a single-player game, if you get 0, I think I'm not saying there is more of a chance. I'm saying it would make, if we were all talking, it would make more sense to think a game that had no server connection, wasn't getting codes, might be a thought process. But by the way, also these devs are working usually up until 0 day. So you have your day, people call it day 1, whatever, it's 0 day because it's prior for us, but you have your day 1 code. Almost every game has a day 1 code. And sometimes the developers aren't ready for a person to play their game yet. They're just like, day 1 is the good code. It's like what we want you to play, so you're not going to be able to review it early. It's rare. It's more rare. Yeah, for sure. I also just don't like getting those NDAs where they're like, we know about the list of 50 things. And you're like, fuck. You know, because that's
like,
that's
don't
almost
worry,
worse.
it'll get patched.
Yeah. But Suicide Squad, like I said, I'm somewhat enjoying it. Is it terrible? No. Is it amazing? No. But so far, it's been enjoyable. I'm absolutely sure I will beat it. I'm not absolutely sure it will be just a driving desire to do so. It will more to talk to you guys. But that's not the only game I've done that with. What else do we have? Suicide Squad, Palworld, Yakuza.
Deus Ex.
Dude, let's talk about it.
You want to? All right.
So Deus Ex is dead. I mean, for all intents and purposes, it's gone. It's dead. It's dead in the water. The IP's dead. What I want to know from you guys is, let's say it wasn't. And so we had Human Revolution. We had Ghost. What was the second one? Can't remember what the name of the second one was.
I think Human
Mankind
Revolution
Divided.
was the second one.
Yeah,
no?
Mankind Divided.
Wasn't there a prior?
Yeah, Human Revolution, Mankind Divided, the original, and then one on the Xbox. I remember number 2.
Yeah, there was like
the basketball.
0. Right, yeah, with the basketball. Yeah.
Yeah, that's all I remember. I remember the basketball.
Man, Deus Ex is like
what?
Such a like, I love that IP.
So do I.
I think it's really, really cool. And it was always, man, I remember, I think I bought.
Yeah, let's talk about memories of Deus Ex number 1, or the first time you ever did Deus Ex.
The yellow piss filter. I didn't play the original one first. Yeah, I played the piss filter one first.
Invisible Wars. Thank you, by the way, Big Mac. Invisible War was number 2. Thank you.
Wasn't the P filter the latest one? Mankind Divided?
No, it was Human Revolution.
No, the Mankind Divided didn't have the piss filter. Yeah, a Human Revolution on the 360, I believe. And it was just really, dude, like, I love these little things. Oh my God, it was the first, I think it was my first like big game that I played that actually had the, I don't want to say the word, immersive sim elements, where like, I invested a lot of points into like being, strong and burly, and now I have the ability to stack up these boxes so I can jump on them, and then I can go through this little vent, and I can go in sneaky from the vent. If I didn't have this, I can invest points elsewhere and do other stuff. And that was just like super magical. Obviously the original had more of that and more like simulated stuff. And I, say what you will about what's the second one, Mankind Divided. That game was really good. Like, I super enjoyed the game, and I was like really, really enjoying it. And then it was just, that's it, you're done. The game was like getting going, and I was
right.
Really,
you mean it was like Halo 2 where it ended, the ending was
as soon
truncated?
as you start going on an adventure, I think it's like your first major boss, and then the game kind of ends. And I don't know, for a new one, obviously they could have like continued the story, but even just not a reimagining, but like a new character, like a new Deus Ex series, maybe a return to form, Cyberpunk, MSim, all that stuff. We don't get much these days, and it was one of like the, one of the last maybe half standing, not really standing IPs. And the thing is, like, when Embracer acquired it, we were talking about it. Oh my God, like, they're gonna make a new one. And then I think either last year, a couple months ago, we were like, oh, it's definitely dead. And I was at peace. And then seeing the news again, I was like, oh, it's really dead. And it just hit me again. I was like, oh, well, shit, we're not gonna get a Deus Ex game. So,
Johnny, did you experience Deus Ex at all?
Yes, I played Human Revolution. fairly recently, a few months ago. I played it with some mods, like, better textures.
Oh, sure.
Kind of adjusting the lighting and the colors. So that's why maybe I didn't have the P filter on it, because maybe some of those, things adjusted it. I thought it looked great. Obviously, the city looks a lot simpler than, some of the current stuff. So that's where I think you notice the age mostly. But when you're in a level and you're exploring it, like, the level design is really like masterful. It kind of reminds me of Hitman, like the recent Hitman games where
going into the cop area, the police precinct and shit.
There's so much variety, and it's almost like it all makes sense. It's like the areas actually make some sense that they are laid out in that way, and not only video game sense. I don't know if that kind of speaks to you guys, but sometimes you look at an area and it doesn't look like that would be a real place, because maybe something doesn't make sense. It's like, why would they put that there? Why is just like a laptop on top? I don't know. It kind of feels like real areas. And then when you start to see the different ways you can go about things, it's one of the few games I ever got FOMO, because I was like, man, I didn't have, whatever required to do the jump, maybe, or like, I didn't have enough strength to punch through this wall, so I will never know what's behind it. And I remember always getting this like, dude, kind of wanting to do everything. And I don't think any other game pushed me to want to replay it again as much, because there's the, I wanted to have these skills so I can traverse in a different way. But then there's also the endings, right? It had, I think, 4 different endings or something. Human Revolution did. Or maybe like 2 main ones at least. And they were really impactful, but very different. You could make a big decision there.
Caden, $5 super chat, very based take on the review code issue. Fully agree. Thank you very much. Not just for agreeing, but also for the $5. So, dude, the thing about Deus Ex, you just mentioned something that I wasn't going to point out, but I'm going to because you opened the subject. But when I was doing Walking the Walk for Thief 4, there are multiple spaces in Thief 4 that make no sense at all logically. There was a spot where there was like a courtyard with no doors and 2 guards guarding a wagon. And I remember in the Walking the Walk, even one of the guys who follows me, a PR guy, he's like, I like this Walking the Walk, but you it was a little bit negative versus your more like, hey, let's just talk about the world and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, yeah, it's because as I started playing, I just, these were just popping up all the time, right? You notice these things. Deus Ex, there really wasn't too many of those. And like you said, even if it was a level you went to, like you jump on an airplane and it's loading a level, that level felt like it made sense. But I would also say the one thing about Revolution that is way different, or Deus Ex is way different, is, and bear with me because I don't know another way to describe this, but Deus Ex's cyberpunk-nish is like Oblivion versus a lot of other sci-fi movies where it's more hard sci-fi. Even though in cyberpunk you get blades and it's hard and you can get ill, there's something gamified about it. There's something where Deus Ex's entire story is about humans and cyborgs and fucking malware in your brain and all this stuff. Even though cyberpunk overlays on top of that many times, it doesn't have, there's something about the story with Deus Ex that just felt way more dark and grounded. Yeah. And in the first one, it starts with like you going to the Statue of Liberty to stop a terrorist attack. Like it's a darker thing, and it transcended all of those games. Everything that you do, everything about it felt not grimy because it's almost a higher level of sophistication than cyberpunk, but grimier. Like I'm saying it's not, but it is. There's something about the entire way it presented itself. It was, remember you and I were doing something, Abzi. We were doing a video, I think, on Cyberpunk versus Deus Ex.
We were playing Deus Ex again, yeah.
And that starting fucking movie, which is like 30 minutes long, where they're telling you the story that happened, I think it's Mankind Divided. And you're just like, what the shit? There's a lot going on in this game. There's it's this political quagmire that
very
is
political,
so enjoyable.
Double agents.
Yeah, double agents. And even your friend in Mankind Divided is the one I recently played where, like a guy betrayed you, but he also helped you, and so you don't know how to deal with him, and you get to choose how to. It's just more developed than Cyberpunk, I think, in that way, even though it's smaller. But dude, Deus Ex, just like you said, FOMO, man. When you do something in Deus Ex, a lot of times, I've never done this in Cyberpunk, and I'm glad you mentioned it. In Cyberpunk, I've never once done something and I'm never going to be able to see that other thing. Yeah. But I have done that in Deus Ex, and I've actually gone halfway through a level in Deus Ex and then gone back out and done another way to get in because I wanted to see like where it went. Like, did it join up? How did it join up? Like, oh, I can move this box because I'm strong enough, but I can't do this. Well, I'm going to get the ability to do this because I want to see how both come together. It was awesome.
And it's really cool how everything has, not everything, a lot of things have a deep consequence. So, and you might think that that's not the case, but for example, at the end of the first mission, I found out that if I had been like completely silent and not killed anybody, there would have been a different outcome with
very distinct outcome.
Yeah, without revealing anything. So things like that, like the gameplay actually impacts this, stuff that happens in the story.
Yeah. Did you guys all do, so we've all done, so no, Abzi and I have done all of them. You did Human Revolution. You haven't done Mankind Divided yet?
I have it installed to play, but I haven't started.
Mankind Divided is different, Johnny, in the fact that they tried their mini city. I don't know if Abzi liked it. I sort of liked it.
Prague was dope, dude.
Prague was dope, but it was also, you could tell they were fighting I don't know if it was the engine or budget. You know what I mean?
I think, or constraints.
It's like here's a block of streets and then there's some cops stopping you. There was something where you were like, but
the side quests there were really cool, dude.
Oh, they were so good, man. And that's the thing is, you hack something. How many times have we got a note? And I know you guys love it, but I don't like. I've talked about. I don't like the obscure note in a From game as much. But the reason why I think I did like Deus Ex is because when I hack, and I liked Prey as well, when I hack somebody's email, it's almost always like 3 levels of data. Sometimes it'll be like, oh yeah, we're out of milk. But a lot of times it'll be like, blah, 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 went here and there. And you're like, whoa, why are they tracking that guy? And then I'm like looking, and then I'll see that guy somewhere and I'll be like, wait, is this guy supposed to be here? And I'm playing a metagame in my brain in Deus Ex half the time. And you're a double agent, in a lot of the games. So it's just all of this awesome conspiracy stuff. Abzi or Inyo says, true. I'm still surprised Night Dive hasn't attempted to remake the first one. That'd be awesome. Right? What were you going to say, Johnny? That would be great.
Yeah.
Johnny, what were you saying?
Aged terribly.
It has aged terribly, bro.
yeah, that's true. I had the feeling from the start playing Human Revolution that it was this almost noir feeling where I didn't know who I could trust.
Yeah.
Obviously your boss is sus, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Because we've seen movies and it's always the boss.
Yeah, we know boss is sus.
Right. But then some of your colleagues too, it's like, wait, people have ulterior motives and stuff. It is a bit
very
dark
cyberpunk.
And almost like a mystery type thing in there. That's pretty cool.
I would say with the new one, what I would have liked them to have done is not do open world. I wouldn't have wanted a Cyberpunk from them. I would have wanted a larger Prague.
Open city?
I would have liked hubs. Yeah, I would have liked tighter. I would have liked districts. Versus
for the
open
variety
city.
Of ways to do stuff.
And you don't need a car in Deus Ex, right? I don't think that would have worked. So I don't want the open world.
I wouldn't
where
have wanted it to be like Cyberpunk. Yeah, right. I want it to be like Deus Ex.
Yeah, where it feels. I don't know if you remember, but in Mankind Divided, there's the one mission in the fucking bookstore, and you come over the edge, and there's the guy in the bookstore. Then you go in, and the bad guys attack. Do you remember this mission, Abzi? In Mankind Divided. Okay, but the reason I was just going to say the reason why I like it is one of those locations that I went in and I saw doors and windows and all this, and my brain was like, oh shit, they can get in fucking anywhere. There's no safe. You know how in a lot of games there's a spot that you can sort of put your back against and be like, all right, I know. And Deus Ex was never that kind of game, but it still nailed it. I went in there, and instead I was like, and my augments, like there's times in Cyberpunk where I forget I have augments because I have good guns. And in Deus Ex, I personally felt it was not the Dark Souls of fucking Cyberpunk. I don't mean that, but I personally feel it was more deadly. Like, I felt like I died more in Deus Ex. When you got in those battles, it felt like that was
especially
not where you were supposed to be.
Towards like stealth.
Yeah,
and like you get caught.
It was sort of you can do that, like Johnny said.
Like
you can do that.
Remember the underground area, dude? That place was scary.
Or you go down into the sub. Yeah, not subs. I mean subway. Sorry, not sub. People are like, whoa, there's a hidden mission in the sub. Also, that guy's voice acting. Like, he nails it, man. That whisper voice. Elias is his name, I think. Something to that effect.
I don't know, but he was in a couple things. Adam Jensen's voice, yeah.
It kind of feels like he needs to clear his throat.
He's Whisper Man from Person of Interest, Johnny. Right? Person of Interest, when he's like, I'm going to go ahead and kill all you people, and then I'm going to eat a bologna sandwich. And you're like, oh, yeah. That's everything about Jensen was awesome. Well,
he was in something recently where I was like, wait, that's Adam Jensen.
He was in Baldur's Gate.
Oh, Starfield. It was Sam Coe.
Oh, I thought it was he was Sam Coe. Sorry, I thought it was Baldur's Gate. Yeah. You're right, he was Sam Coe. Yeah.
I was like,
and
wait,
he sounded like
it's Jensen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I don't think I'm not going to say tries, but
Discovery.
I think he's got a certain voice type. Elias, I was right. Elias Tofaxis? I'm sure I'm pronouncing that wrong.
Toferia. I don't know. It's Montreal stuff.
Silver.
I have no idea.
Okay, go Silver. Go.
It's actually pronounced Elias Tufiar. Actually, I don't know. Actually,
dude, I thought you meant that. I was like,
no, I didn't.
He just pulled that up his ass. How the hell?
Not at all. Not at all.
But yeah, I think a hub would have been great where you have districts and each district felt different, but not open world. There's no reason for vehicles in that game. It's not even that kind of game. Also, I would love to have seen, well, you were thinking a different character. Were you thinking maybe skip a main protagonist in the way that, like, it's him and do a generic protagonist? Even though you're voiced, but I'm saying, is that what you were thinking?
Yeah, not generic, like more like, maybe they could do one where you make your own character.
Yeah, and, that's what I was wondering.
Or
that's what you mean.
Anything like dialogue options, a lot more dialogue options. Maybe, I don't know.
Where it's not all tied to his past. You mean? Where it's like a fresher
like
perspective,
a new start. Yeah. Like the first game. Yeah.
I think also when you look at Deus Ex and Thief and a couple of those games, the immersive sims, I think Prey came pretty close to Deus Ex at times.
Prey did.
I mean, obviously, I don't think I'm saying anything brand new. I'm just saying.
Yeah, especially the thing I mentioned where like your skills impact, how the story, and obviously like with a lot of those games, even Metro, even Dishonored, but Dishonored was more gamified than Metro and Deus Ex.
Yeah.
But there's like Metro and Deus Ex, what I loved that they did, as opposed to Dishonored, because Dishonored, you'd know exactly like, oh, this is, there's a percentage, there's a cutoff, this is pacifist, this is like high chaos, low chaos. They display all that. But what I really liked about Metro and even Deus Ex, but Metro did this really well where stuff runs in the background. Choices aren't there in front of you. How you play the game changes, how the story plays out. Like this guy that died in your game died because you killed certain people that didn't deserve to die. It's not just like full pacifist or full not. You know, there's like, oh, these are slave owners. It's okay to kill them. But the game doesn't actually tell you. Right. So there's a lot of these things which Prey also did with like its side quests and a lot of how you handled stuff. If you like shot this guy, killed him, but they don't really explicitly tell you. And I love when games do that. It's just like how you play impacts.
It's a soft world instead of a hard black and white.
Hard like like choose like Paragon or what
Renegade.
Was
there we go. Yeah, exactly. The moment I love Paragon and Renegade, but there is that feeling in Deus Ex where if that had gone that way, it would have sucked balls. Instead, that's the entire thing too. Is dude, whenever I got done with the Deus Ex, I never knew if I was the good guy, ever, because the shit you do, you're like, well, I mean, you're helping one group in a bad situation where both sides are in a bad situation. Like, so you're just like, no, I don't really know. Because you were talking about endings, and I can be brutally honest, I don't remember any endings from those games other than one. I remember one's ending. I don't remember much about, I'm doing my third playthrough of Mankind Divided, and I think I pretty much, when I get to the end, my ending is prior to any cutscenes. It's my ending. Does that make sense? So whatever they may say at the end, whatever story or movie they play, whatever they do, I'm like,
that's it. Yeah,
that's it for them. But I've already built my ending because when I got there, I had already made all my choices, and you know, if they met it out or not, they still feel like they were mine. Also, I would say this: Deus Ex, man, is probably one of the few games in the world where when I walk into a level, I can almost. You were talking about chaos and like what chaos and
low high chaos,
low and high chaos. When I go into most games, I can immediately see left, right, middle choices. Elden Ring, you saw it when you entered. They messed with it, which to their credit. But with Deus Ex, there is almost always like a fourth and maybe fifth option that is not anywhere shown, but it's like a mix of option 1 or 2, or it's a thing you can do that's like completely separate. Skip it sometimes, you know, where you're like, oh, I don't even need to go here because I've done this over here and I've already got the passcode or whatever, you know, those kind of things that are just so awesome. And I remember there were times where I was playing Deus Ex and I was like, left choice is a fucking, you know, like a ladder, and I know that'll go somewhere. There's an opening here. There's a guy to talk to.
There's a vent, and there's there's a wall you can punch.
But then I found out, like, you can go through the ladder, you can go up, and you can scare the guy or call the guy over so that he goes, and then go back out, and then go through the spot. So now you've done a mix of 2 and 3. It's just that sexy softness that sounds. But you know what I mean.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping Stalker 2 will have, like some of that. Also, the inventory system I loved from Deus Ex. I always loved
my
Tetris.
God, inventory Tetris though. I
love that shit.
Did you like that? Because especially Mankind Divided, dude. I was like, there was a lot of that.
You had way more stuff. Yeah, you had too much stuff. You didn't want to, you know, everything. My inventory filled too fast in that game. Yeah.
Dude, it was fast. Yeah. It was fast. And because the guns, in real life, how many times have we seen a game where you have 10 guns and you're like, well, even Cyberpunk, you're like, where are these guns? They seem uncomfortable. Yeah. Some of these guns have to be somewhere. But then you do Deus Ex and it's like sniper rifle takes up like 7 boxes or whatever. You're like, damn, okay, now I know. Now I know where these items are. Indio says, Deus Ex's first mission had a hidden timer where if you messed around too long before leaving, the hostages were all dead. Yeah.
That's really cool, man.
The best part of Deus Ex 1 also was there's that spot where you go in and the people are talking and he tells you to leave. And if you leave and then sneak around and hide, you can overhear an entire conversation about you. And I remember I had never, ever seen that in a game. And just being like, they don't know I'm here. They're talking about me. Like, oh my God, it's like listening to gossip between 2 of your friends on a Zoom call before they know you've dialed in. You know, you're like, ha ha, you are mad at me. No, dude, there were so many things about Deus Ex. Also, I would like their combat to be improved. I do believe that even though it's supposed to be crunchier, when I'm playing in Mankind Divided, a couple times I've died where I don't feel it was me. Where it was
gunplay could be improved, and
gunplay in particular.
Did Abzy freeze for you as well?
Abzy froze for me. I thought it was. I thought it was me. I was like, oh God, here we go with the tech. While he's fixing that, did you feel that Mankind Divided? Obviously, I know you've liked Cyberpunk since day one, and it is smoother in combat. But how about this? Was there anything in Human Revolution spell wise that you, software or bionics that you like? You're back.
Well, I forgot what I was saying. Dude.
That's all right. I've switched. I asked him if there was any move in Deus Ex or bionic that he liked the most.
Oh, gotcha. Oh, I remember one thing that I was saying. Sorry. Go ahead.
No, go for it. You got something.
Go ahead, and then Johnny can look up the different powers, Johnny, and then identify if there's one on there that you use the most. Go ahead.
I remember when you were talking about like improving the gameplay. I thought gunplay they could have improved a lot, and I wasn't like a huge fan of the limitations on stealth kills, like going behind enemies and being able to stealth kill was tied to that energy bar. Yeah, I wasn't like a big fan of that, but yeah.
I spent a day in Mankind Divided ferrying assault rifles to sell to a vendor. Yeah, I've done that. They have a mini. It's not even a currency or a economy, but I definitely ran out of money a lot. I did a lot of lockpicking in that game as well. Jack says Mankind Divided's gunplay was such a step up from the first one for sure. But if I ever wanted anything from it, it would be more view model animation. Yeah, so maybe that's what I'm noticing too. When I'm playing Mankind Divided, it feels like I'm not getting the data of where I am sometimes. Sometimes I feel like I'm around a corner and you can do the third person view thing, and sometimes I have a difficulty popping into and out. It's probably just me because I'm bouncing between games. But Johnny, was there any bionics or hardware upgrades you liked?
I was gonna bring this up. The one I liked most in the game itself was the invisibility one, like the cloaking. I thought that was really cool, even though it's kind of, it's been done a lot. That was really
Crisis. Cool.
Yeah. I also like the reflex booster. I was looking at it here, because the explanation of it was really cool. So it said something like kind of messed with your nervous system. And it enhanced the ability to react and do stuff like super quickly and precisely. And I thought that was really cool thematically. I think in the game, the only thing I can confirm here, it's a multiple takedown perk. So that's like what it came down to as a practical thing. But I like the kind of narrative thing behind it. But I was going to bring this up. Would you guys like to see more like cybernetic implants and things, like maybe stuff you could put in your arms with blades, maybe more futuristic guns with lasers and stuff, because it was all fairly
I like the grounded feel,
military.
Okay. But I don't know, I mean, laser guns.
You mean the grounded you mean the harder sci-fi stuff with less stuff than Cyberpunk mostly. You mean with less like over the top stuff?
Yeah, I like that more. I like it was more like, as Johnny said, like military, mostly ballistic.
Yeah, it was military hardware in a way.
Yeah.
And also he had like the ability to do stuff with defense. The one thing I would like is more in Cyberpunk D&D games and in Cyberpunk board game, whatever. I like the ability to overtake the other person who has cyberpunk augmentations and fuck them up. And so when I'm in a battle, I love any game that has you like add confusion or overwhelm them with sound or charm or whatever. I like that. And in one of our D&D games, one of the characters has the ability, it's basically a perk, but it's also a negative. But he can only affect a very particular style of chip. He has a malware. He has like a 0 day for this one chip. But it is a chip that only impacts their legs, so he can make enemies run around without their control. And so when you're firing, he can use this once every like so often with an overcharge, and it'll cause the enemy to like sprint into walls because they can't control their legs. But everything else they can control. And it's just hilarious. And I like the idea of because you have overclocking. If you remember in Deus Ex, you like when you put in your stuff, you have like an overclock bar in Mankind Divided. And I love the idea of it's almost like going to your friend's house and fucking with their BIOS. There's something about that is, I don't know why it's magical to me. We've already got turrets you can take over. You can hack so whenever a game lets you hack a person, including Cyberpunk, I love that. And I would love to see more of those. For example, you'll see guys put up shields in games. In a lot of D&D games, you can you'll turn the off button to on their shield. So they'll get ready to turn it on, they'll turn it off, and you get the guy confused. I love the idea of fucking with their stuff. Sorry, go ahead, Pepsi.
I'm a huge fan of that. No, I was just saying I loved the hacking minigame too. So hacking into enemies would be cool. Man, that hacking minigame was really fun. Yeah.
It's probably got one of the best.
That was like my favorite. Yeah.
I don't know about you, lockpicks wise. I'm just going to say it. I actually steer towards liking the lockpicks of Starfield the best.
Starfield Starfield had the best lockpick minigame. Say what you will about Starfield.
Say what you will about Starfield. That fucking lockpicking game was pretty goddamn wicked.
Like, for me, man. It was really good.
I was doing it last night while I was streaming with the guys, and I was like, me. I'm like, I'm sort of dig this.
It's really fun.
Hacking wise, Deus Ex still got the best. Like, I just feel like
I can't think of like
another game. Well, I mean, Prey had it. Prey had a hacking game, didn't it?
Yeah,
didn't Prey
Cyberpunk as well.
I guess a basic one, but
yeah.
I would also say affecting enemies' guns, if they're energy based, would be fun. You have the in Cyberpunk you have the ability to like heat up their gun or whatever. I can't remember what it is, but you can make it so that their gun jams. I like all those kind of things where that you make the AI do something different because the AI thinks it'll be able to shoot and it can't, and being able to watch the anarchy there is always cool.
But
Also,
doing it in DSX would be even more so because it's a sim stuff, like simulation stuff where you can fuck
if
with
they're
enemies
behind an edge and you have one of them shoot the other guy because that you tell them they're a target, it's like that might just kill them with just the one shot. You know, that's the thing about Cyberpunk. What I was getting to is the time to kill is high, or is it high or low?
Yeah.
It's long.
Yeah, it's an RPG more so than like a sim, right?
Yeah.
Way more. Yeah.
Somebody's saying, I think Mass Effect 2 had a somewhat similar hacking in Lair of the Shadow Broker. Lair of the Shadow Broker is the DLC, right?
Oh, I did that. I don't remember the hacking minigame, though. I don't remember. But I
really
did that
don't.
for sure.
I don't remember that.
Yeah.
I think also anybody who's watching, the one thing is I don't think Cyberpunk has been this successful and Deus Ex has been this loved without somebody probably coming along and looking at making one. So that is what I'm hoping for, is that there's somebody else out there that's like, okay, Square's dropping Deus Ex, then, I mean, who know? I don't even mean buy the IP. I mean a company saying, let's make a, you know.
Yeah.
Dude,
like,
there's so many indies popping up, so many that are trying to do Deus Ex, like a lot. Not just Deus Ex, but like Thief and...
But are many of them ISO? That's what I've noticed, is most aren't first person. They're isometric.
Oh no, the one I'm thinking of is first person. Yeah, it's like directly inspired from original Deus Ex. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
With even like the same type of graphics, like not as crunchy looking, but like the same type of models and stuff. Yeah. Which also is under Embracer and also might be canceled. Yeah.
What else might be canceled? Jesus Christ, I didn't hear that.
But I think it was like they said it's not
this
canceled,
other game you're talking about?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, the one
really?
That's like Deus Ex. Yeah.
Jesus, man.
Yeah.
Dude, the Embracer thing is just absolutely slamming us. Also, when it comes to Deus Ex, what I would like to see them do is probably, I don't want to say companions. I don't want to say that. But Deus Ex has always been solitary. So sometimes you'll team up with somebody and they're there for a little bit and, you know, that kind of stuff. But I sort of am in love with the idea of co-op moments in a Deus Ex game. The idea of you, like all three of us, taking down enemies and one of you guys turning off their shields and one guy's jamming their guns and then like another person going in and throwing like a scatter bomb. There's something about it that I feel like that. Imagine going in and you have strength, so you can do one part of something. I have this, so I can do... Like, there's something there that I would love to see. I don't think it'll ever be done, but... I mean, I sort of felt the same way with Cyberpunk.
I have, like, just amazing memories of playing with a friend, but this was Splinter Cell. I think it was...
Yeah, Splinter Cell's a good example,
Chaos
man.
Theory. Because they had this co-op thing. It was magical, man, because you had to coordinate, like, take out this camera so I can pass... You know,
even Ghost Recon had some of that, you know, and it's really fun where it's like, I'm using the drone. There's a guy up there, careful, or like, you know, let's 3, 2, 1, boom, they both die at the same time. I love that shit. We don't get much, you know, stealth games.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
it feels sad that, I mean, obviously, Embracer. So some of these companies that have gone down now would have gone down prior to Embracer buying them. That's one of the, I get, you can't say it's a positive, but it sort of is. Meaning they were in dire straits, Embracer paid them, and they had another year of employment. Now, do you get what I'm saying? Like that was helped. But most of them weren't prepared, right? And so what I'm assuming with a lot of this kind of stuff is that there was probably all these plans for games, and they're just... Like, people are just gone. They can't take an IP. They can't even work with the company and say, I'd like the IP. You know, like, so let's say there's a Ken who's working with a company and the company's going down. Ken's usually the kind of guy that you could assume could probably find the finances to say, can I take the IP for Thief? You know, because we want to, you know, you don't sound like you're going to do it. I'd like to contract with you. But a lot of these people are just losing their job instantly. And they're just, you know, and they're going away. And it feels like the same thing with Deus Ex, with all of these kind of titles, is that all that's left is the name, and Deus Ex's numbers never did great. And so I don't know who can drive another Deus Ex. Like, I don't know, other than you get Warren, or you get
Nobody wants to touch
Ken.
Deus Ex. Nobody wants to touch Thief. Nobody wants to touch Prey.
They don't want to touch the games I want. They just, they don't, man. And that it sucks because, dude, if I had millions of dollars, this is the one thing I would do. That would be the one thing, would be to, like, I would want to make a game. There's only like 3 I would want to make. Thief is one of them. A good Thief, by the way.
Yeah, not the fucking 4th one.
Not the 4th one. Or a good, a good tight Deus Ex. Dude, the stuff you could do with Deus Ex that we've learned from Cyberpunk, that's the other thing.
With the tech today.
Tech today, but I mean the mistakes that Cyberpunk made, all that. And by the way, I know people love it, but I'm saying that all these devs look and go, oh, here's a good idea they had, but here's something they tried that didn't work. All that kind of stuff would just be amazing. Destructible environments. Can you imagine, like, the ability as a cyber, like a fucking android to leap through this floor onto the 2nd floor? By the way, I don't know if you guys remember,
only walls, but any wall.
Yeah, I was actually, when Cyberpunk was first announced, that was the thing I was hoping for, was like the ability to bust through a wall. What if you can't get through a door? Fucking, you're going to be able to kick through walls and tear down buildings. You know how it is when you're young and innocent and you believe a game is going to turn out good.
Yeah.
Wannabe Dev says Sniper Elite 5 had this co-op that was really good. Yeah, Abzi and I played the shit out of
my god, dude.
5's co-op. That's one of the best co-op games that there is. Sniper Elite 5.
And that level design was so cool.
Oh
man.
my
the
god.
Level design in Sniper Elite was
It'd be
so
like,
good.
you'd clean everybody out and you'd be like, there's reinforcements over to the north. Oh shit! And you'd be like, and
the one thing, because usually in games, especially when you're doing stealth, if someone spots you, they yell or something. They go, and they start shooting. And in Sniper Elite, those motherfuckers just started shooting.
They just started shooting. Yeah, there was a lot of times where you'd be like, so anyway, I'm gonna go. Hey, whoa! Somebody saw us. Which, by the way, smart. That's the way you should do it. Jack says, I wouldn't get excited about any project Warren's in. Look at his track record. I think he's on point guy with the game design, but not with the project. I think he's talking about Warren from Thief.
Warren Buffett?
Warren Spector.
Oh, Warren Spector. Why? What happened to him, dude?
Oh, I think he's just saying in most of the titles that he works on, they don't go anywhere.
Oh.
But that's
I don't know, man.
I mean,
I think we should get the IP.
That won't stop me from hoping like that. Otherwise, I'd just sit here and fucking, never hope for anything.
Smaller devs should just get the IP, like the Weird West devs or something, or just what I mean.
Or do this, a group of 7 people who want to do. Listen to me, I'm telling you, I know nothing about what I'm going to say next. This is absolutely talking out my ass. But wouldn't it be great if a developer was like, let's do a 1 or 2 level Deus Ex inspired game? That's it. Not a full game, not an early access. We're just going to do 1 or 2 levels. And
would that be like a proof of concept?
Or it'd be a chapter thing like Telltales. I mean, I don't know, dude. I just love the idea of these. We have all these price points, right? We have so many price points.
Hitman episodic type thing, but maybe smaller than that.
Well, with Unreal being able to do all of the crazy stuff that they're able to do, it'd be nice to see somebody try it. But I got to fly in here. Doors open. I feel like you need a dedicated team of writers for Deus Ex. It's funny because they only had 1 writer on Deus Ex, so probably not. I think for a new one, if you did a full game, you'd need a Chris Avalon, right? Or you'd need somebody. I don't know if Chris Avalon, his writing style fits to a Deus Ex now that I think about it.
I don't know, but he's doing a game with the Weird West devs, and I really want them to announce it soon.
Yeah.
I want to know what it is. Yeah.
ISO game.
Wolfeye Studios.
I'm just joking. I sound so down on ISO games, but I'm so tired of seeing them. There's just so many isometric games. It's like all of the games I want.
I don't know if it'll be isometric. All I know is it'll for sure be immersive sim. I don't know if it'll be isometric. Maybe. We are getting a lot of them, but Weird West was awesome.
What else do we have on Deus Ex before we wrap that part up? Enemy types. I personally believe that they had enough in Mankind Divided. There were all kinds of robots, you faced off the turrets and all that kind of stuff. But I would have liked to have seen a little bit more cyberpunky bad guys like Cyberpunk. I do feel at Deus Ex, you faced off guys, but they treated them as bosses, more like the really strong guys. I think I would have probably liked more generic guys with more like a mini bosses in games. You know, sometimes you'll face off grunts versus elites in Halo. I think I would have liked some of that in a Deus Ex to see.
I think what would be cool is if you turn the tables and you had to fight someone who uses the same types of strategies that you use. Maybe, you know, he's hiding behind the box or like,
right. Or,
punching
oh
a
my
wall
God,
to
what
fight,
if
like,
you're guarding a
flanking.
place and he's sneaking in, you know, with all your abilities that you have and your, sorry.
That's some Metal Gear Solid shit. Right? That's some Metal Gear Solid shit.
What if they're just like, within the next 24 hours, somebody may attack?
Hey, what is Kojima's new espionage game? He said he's making a new espionage game.
Yeah.
I'm so down. That
it's
could
not
be our
Metal
answer.
Gear. It'll be called Steel Swivel.
Definitely not, but it'll be a fucking
He didn't pick up on
games,
that.
Dude.
He didn't pick up on my
Steel
joke.
Swivel.
But you know it's going to be Metal Gear, right? Come on, right? Don't you think so? Or at least
I don't know, maybe
inspired by
type
it.
shit.
Yeah.
So he's doing 3 games because it's
he's doing 3.
Death Stranding.
DS2 coming out, and then the
one with the faces.
OD,
which has nods to Silent Hill people, and then the espionage game, which is going to be like a game, not like a Kojimbo thing. Maybe it will be a Kojimbo thing.
Kojimbo?
What the hell? That's amazing. A Kojimbo game.
Okay, we have to use that.
We're gonna have to use it. I'm gonna use that in the review when I review it if I'm still alive. I do think that Kojima, Iron Sprocket, I do think that Kojima probably would do well to do a military-inspired espionage game, to go back to the mechanical basics. Does that make sense? Where it's not like, you know how like Death Stranding and Death Stranding 2 are going to be the open world and there's all these weird things. It would be cool to see him tighten it down and be like, he loves his military contractors and that kind of stuff, and I definitely would be into it. Somebody says the new Kojima game is called Fizzant.
Really? Is that confirmed?
I don't know.
Sounds like a...
Fizzant. Sounds weird. I just started Cyberpunk. Nice foundation, but absolutely dismal role-playing. Hey, listen. If you know Cyberpunk's a shooter with Cyberpunk moves, you're good to go.
It's Far Cry.
It's Far Cry, yeah. Speaking of Far Cry, man,
the expansion is the expansion has better role playing.
Are you talking about Phantom Liberty?
Phantom Liberty has really good.
Phantom Liberty is so good, you could call it the best continuing game of 2023.
Best ongoing
or best ongoing. Best ongoing.
Yeah.
So with Far Cry, I did the Far Cry VR mod that they got. That was pretty insane, man. Worked really well. Far Cry is so chaotic with spawns, it wasn't very fun after a particular amount of time. But I would like to see a Far Cry. I would like to see Ubisoft not do the Assassin's Creed VR, but do a Far Cry VR. I actually think that they could do it because the Assassin's Creed VR game is pretty good. I mean, it's not amazing. But it's pretty good.
Damn, speaking of Far Cry, I want like a, you know how they changed Assassin's Creed when they released Origins
and Odyssey? Yeah.
I want like a whole Far Cry revamp or like a return, like not return, but like a whole new thing.
Yeah.
Just like something
reimagining.
A reimagination.
Same shit. Yeah.
I don't know what they would do with Far Cry though.
I mean, no idea.
To me, the rumors of the new one, which is like an ongoing timer, like every 72 hours it resets or something, like it feels, even the explanations sound, what's the term? Gimmicky.
Yeah, I don't know what the hell, like what is the essence of Far Cry? Well, I remember back in the day.
That's a deep question. What is the essence of Far Cry?
What is it? I remember like for me, like Far Cry 2 when it came out, and even Far Cry 3 when games weren't doing everything. The cool thing about it was like approaching combat how you want, right? You couldn't go in with like good, but that's like in every game now. So
there's always been a big aspect with nature and nature.
Obviously,
being
like being on an island with like and the villain was like the main part of it after 3 because they loved the villain in 3. But like, is that it? They can do a lot with that though. But do you want an island again, like open world island, and like
what is the I don't even know what the
like. Why would you like Far Cry over like Is there a game like Dude, they need a Crisis. Listen, man, Crisis 1, do it like Crisis 1. Shit. There's no game like what's comparable to Far Cry, dude? Like for first person.
Yeah, for a first person open world shooter, because it is a Ubisoft first person open world shooter, right?
Right.
Because I play
Right.
Arma. Arma is a Bohemia. Well, they changed their name, but I think they did. Bohemia is open world shooter, military strategy. Far Cry is about gung ho. I mean, Far Cry is pretty close to superhero shooter when you think about it. I mean, even Far Cry 6 had a rocket launcher. You know, and a dog that was in a wheelchair. You know what I mean? Like Far Cry is Far Cry. It's its own.
Rambo? Is it like Rambo stuff?
Rambo. Yeah,
like,
no, that's
Rambo
exactly
stuff, right?
it. Rambo stuff. So like Far Cry is Rambo, and yeah, that is true.
Like Primal, they did something really cool with Primal. What if they did like
and they Blood Dragon was cool. Remember Blood Dragon? I mean, because if you don't mention it, somebody's going to yell at us. So you got Blood Dragon.
Yeah, true.
I would kill for a cyberpunk Far Cry.
What if they made it like you're literally the only person and it has survival elements and you're like literally living off the island? But I mean, you gotta build and then recruit.
That's not even Far Cry at that point, though, right?
Yeah.
Far Cry is about insane amounts of gunpowder and bad guys and everybody, just chaos. Like even 6, when I was playing 6, once you start shooting one boat, every boat knows you're there, right?
Yeah.
And and everybody's coming at you, and you're launching rockets, like you said, Rambo. I mean, I think if they did a Crisis that was, I mean, I don't want, you know what though? I just got a dirty feeling when you said survival. I'm not. I'm so done with survival.
I was fucking with you. Yeah. No. What if? Because Crisis, I feel like Crisis did Far Cry better than Far Cry.
Yeah. Well, Far Cry 1. Now, Far Cry 1 was very much like Crisis. Far Cry 1 was
Far Cry 1.
Ancient ass game, but Far Cry 1 was very close to Crisis. Just no superpowers. No. Well, at the end when you become a mutant. But goddamn, those are old games. Somebody was saying Far Cry's essence is that it's become a basic open world FPS. No, come on, man. We can be smartasses all the time. I'm talking about a real. Come on.
What is it?
What is Far Cry's essence?
At this point, I'm leaning towards that. It's like it's just.
It is Rambo shooters.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah.
One against the world, right? It's always. I mean,
it becomes so samey that like, what would they like? How would you like? Can you break out of that mold, dude? They're in like they're stuck.
Well,
like,
Let me ask you a question. Are they? Because Assassin's Creed is Assassin's Creed. I'm not talking about Origins Odyssey, but Phoenix Rising was different enough.
Yeah.
That I don't think they're stuck there. So are they stuck in first person, or can they? For example, Cyberpunk is very Far Cry. I'm just being brutally honest. When you play Cyberpunk, it is very difficult to not have a ton of overlap with how Far Cry feels, but Cyberpunk.
Yeah, of course, you got the outposts and all that stuff.
So what if they did do a futuristic one, like their own?
Yeah, but that's just setting, and then they'll do the same shit where it's like you go from outpost to outpost.
Yeah.
Maybe if they focused more on, you know, what we were talking about in Deus Ex with the tightness of like, you know, kind of like approaching things differently, because that I think was their biggest selling point, was approaching things differently. But they kind of just, you know, stopped there. They didn't evolve that idea to because in the modern day you can go in quiet or loud. It's not like a special thing anymore.
Isn't it funny too, Abzi? Far Cry 2 started all this.
Yeah,
it never changed. I mean, by the way, I liked Far Cry 5 now. I've liked Primal. I've liked Blood Dragon. I liked 3 and 4 was a copy of 3. 3 and 4, even now, I'll go back and play them and accidentally go, I'm playing 4 when I'm playing 3 and playing 3. There's some overlap. But dude, since 2, that's just been their thing. Since 2, it's like, it's been their
But they didn't evolve that aspect, I don't think. They didn't evolve it that much.
Well, let me ask you a question. Who has evolved it? Because sometimes I think the evolve discussion is not unfair, but is unduly labeled on them versus what I've seen other companies do, which is not evolve as well.
Oh, like, that's true. Where you see who
who's evolved games the shooter?
Not the shooter, like the approaching things differently. I feel like that as actually maybe taken a step down. I mean, we're not seeing those types of games because they aren't selling well. The ones that do,
right? Because guess
bullshit.
what? Guess where we are? Immersive Sims.
Yeah, immersive Sims.
Right?
Exactly.
That's where we are. If Far Cry
and
changed,
nobody wants to make immersive,
and nobody
Sims.
wants to make them because they're not selling.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Dude, it's this weird catch-21. We all say we want them, but it feels like it's just us in an echo chamber.
Feels
with
like
the
people just want
same
those
seven
Ubisoft
people.
games they complain about. They just want to run around and shoot people.
Well, the fact is, Ubisoft seems to do most of those FPS open world games. You could look at the Breakpoint. The other
Avatar.
one,
Dude,
Wildlands.
Wildlands, yeah, Division. I mean, Division admittedly is different, but they are
the only ones doing this shit?
They each have their, tone.
maybe Division. Destiny 2 is definitely got overlapping of Division kind of feel to it at times.
What if they make like a dude? You know what I'd love? Like a Tarkov, like hyper realistic Far Cry. Like just fucking you die from like a shot or two. You got to be super scary. You got to be super quiet.
Then Abzi, they gotta dial down the raccoons and like wild.
Yeah, no shit. No, but I would love that.
Yeah,
dude. I would love.
You gotta doubt. What if a trout just kills it? You're like, everything in Far Cry is deadly. That's the thing. I was leveled up and like just fishing and bear out of the blue, and you're like, all you hear is that roar. And it's attacking a guy who's running from a biplane who's fucking, and there's a helicopter there, and I'm like, what is happening? That's the thing about Far Cry is it's just fucking, it's almost Rambo.
Just
you hit it. I think
some level.
Well, somebody, were you in that conversation, Johnny? Turam did say that. He had stated the same thing. He said that in many ways, Just Cause and Far Cry have like,
what if it's Turok, like with dinosaurs?
I would be all for it. I personally, to me, if they did Far Cry Primal 2, but it was somehow humans and dinosaurs at the same time, like I would fucking be in love with that. That's why
Tame them, ride them.
Okay, see, that's the thing. Now you're getting into survival. The moment you start talking about that,
no, in Primal you could tame and
okay, if you mean tame them that easily, I'm 100% for you.
We're going into Ark survival now.
Brian Robinson says $2 Far Cry Australia. Yeah. Well, if you can get a platypus, I'd be all for it. SBZ $5 super chat. Any opinions on Microsoft shutting down their physical games division? You guys have heard about that? I did want to hit that because that's a super chat.
Yeah, people don't like what I think about physical games.
What do you think about physical? And then you just stopped for a second.
I think they're useless. I haven't had a CD-ROM since like 2013. I haven't bought anything physical in a long time. I don't give a shit about having a physical game versus digital. I know that if Steam goes down or like
can't
if
refund
the
super chat. Sorry guys,
blows up and the world isn't ending. If you're in post-apocalypse, you won't have your games. But so people love their physical. Listen, I get it. I mean, I loved collecting shit, CDs and shit, but I feel like it's just, we're getting, future, man. We don't need. I haven't had a CD-ROM, dude. You can't even buy a PC with a CD-ROM. CDs don't even come out. I guess it's different from console people, but like, Jesus,
yeah,
man,
I think most people are probably talking about a console because there is still the desire for a console to be able to be unplugged. So here's one thing I do want to point out, Abzi. You do mention a lot of things about PC, but the big thing about PC versus console, the huge difference is that you pay to be online with a console. Now, if that went away, then there is the idea that, okay, I'm just plugged in. I don't have to buy Game Pass or whatever it's called, or Xbox Live or whatever. I can play all my games and everything just works online, blah, blah, blah. I think that there's extra little things that needle people who own consoles that constantly feel like,
that's true.
And with a PC, you have the ability to mod and all this stuff, and there are no pluses. There is just taking away. So, or that's what they see is just taking away. They're like one more thing that's just being taken away. I own an S, doesn't have a disk drive. So, I mean, I get the idea of, I mean, I have a PC with a disk drive, but I haven't used it in forever, dude.
Yeah.
I haven't used, I used it to rip my Blu-rays. That was a lot. And Blu-ray on PC doesn't even work very well. So, like, I ended up watching half of them on my console. But I think that's one thing that people see is that you have to pay for the online. And we become so accustomed to it. It's weird when you think about it. You plug your PC in, you can play anything. no cost.
Yeah, I just like launch whatever on my desktop.
Yeah, and with the console, it's like, oh, you can play this game, but you have to be even their MMOs a lot of times.
But I will give them. Listen, man, a really cool. I bought I think Resident Evil 4 on the PS5 because I bought it earlier than the release date at the store.
Yeah.
So I bought like the physical game, and it was really cool. Just sharing the game to a friend. That was like a cool aspect.
Yeah,
it's giving a game to a friend. But yeah, no, this whole thing about owning your game and shit like that, like. Yeah, I don't really. I mean,
Gunter says Absy is saying you will own nothing and be happy. By the way, he's joking.
That's what I'm saying. I'm evil fucking corporal.
Were you going to add something, Johnny, before we went off on that?
On the physical side, I mean, sometimes I'll buy it. It's pretty rare nowadays because it's basically just a box, right? Like you don't even need it's kind of weird. But what I do actually still like a lot for physical is shows. So I got a few box sets for shows.
Agreed.
Like, for example, I have Fringe, it's like an all-time favorite, right? And there's something about and I do use my console for it because it's the only like reader I have for Blu-rays, right? But there is something cool about like, even if everything is out, like I don't have internet or whatever, or I don't need to go somewhere and download, I have like the physical, and there's something about like going through the season because you're, okay, here's
I
this
totally
one, right?
Yeah.
There is something cool about that I enjoy for the box sets when you get like, boom, a full show.
Do you know what I do, Johnny, man? The box sets, bro, I eat up behind the scenes. And that's the thing I miss when I go to Amazon. There's no behind the scenes for a show I like.
Don't get that.
Yeah, so when I buy like Fringe or Eureka or Jericho and they're like behind the scenes, and it's shitty usually. It's not even highly produced. It's like somebody's shaky cam behind it. I eat that up. So I totally get where you're coming from for movies. Yeah, I also still like CDs.
I like the analog feel too. Yeah, I mean, I buy records, dude.
I buy records. I do buy records. We got a record player, and I don't like the sound as much as a lot of people. It's not the greatest record player, is admittedly,
like,
but
I just feel like there's just so
both is what we're talking about. Both.
I just feel like a lot of other. I mean, I hate the. I don't know, man. I don't really know, but I was gonna say like, everything else, like even music, people are using Spotify and YouTube Music and stuff. People are rarely buying their songs anymore. TV, people are, movies. Who buys movies anymore? There's a lot of stuff where you don't really own shit. You know what I mean? Technically. Now I'm not a fan of like the streaming service stuff. Like I listen, I know it's great like having Netflix and all that stuff and you can like binge stuff, but I hate the, oh my God, okay, what service is this movie on? What service is this, TV show on? Which subscription do I have to have? That also has to be looked at. And, I mean, TV channels weren't that much better where it's like you got to flip through. People don't go home at like 7 p.m. to watch something anymore. They have the leisure of watching it whenever they want. So I guess the conversation can be a lot more nuanced of like, what do we actually own? And like, is ownership like, if you're only going to play a game once and put it down, or watch a movie once and put it down, do you care that you own it? Do you care that it's like part of a subscription service?
But let me tell you something,
I don't know where it will move. Yeah.
I had no power for 9 days. And then when we had power on the 10th day, we had no internet. And I can tell you right now, I couldn't watch anything except for my discs. Yeah. And I will tell you that was noticeable. It was to the point to where, me, I like to watch 2 or 3 shows at a time. At the same time, and I was able to watch no shows at no time, and I was very frustrated at that moment. But I do agree with you. I don't own a ton of physical, but I want it to exist because I can tell you when something does go down, it's a bitch.
That is true.
It's a bitch, man. It's a bitch.
Thankfully, Steam allows like 2 weeks or something offline.
Oh, is it 2 weeks of offline now? Let me get through these questions real quick. We also have, let's see. I just want to make sure I hit these because I asked patrons as well. And then we'll wrap it up so Johnny can pee.
Bro, why are you singling me out?
Because you've had to pee many times because we go for a long time. So I just assume, because you said yours at dinner time. So we always hit you when you have to eat or have to pee.
Fair enough.
Stripe says, would love to hear if anyone's playing Grand Blue Fantasy Relink. The only person I know who's playing that right now is Reg and Kigger in our Discord, and I think both like it. I don't know if you guys saw But Grand Blue also has a very cool thing where if you skip the cutscene, it will give you a text summary of the cutscene. So a full text summary. So if you want to skip the cutscene or you don't have the audio on, what have you, you can skip it and it'll give you a full text summary of everything that happened in the cutscene. Very cool. Very cool positive.
Yeah, or even if you were confused, it could be you're confused about something that happened.
Next up, David says, have you guys heard anything about 5000 series from NVIDIA? I really haven't,
no.
Right?
No announcements yet. I think it'll be end of this year or next year, maybe.
And because they just did the supers, right? Didn't the supers just get...
Yeah.
He also
Hopefully
says...
they don't introduce like a whole new tech that makes my 4090 obsolete.
Beam tracing instead of ray tracing,
what else could they do?
DLSS 4.
They only have frame gen now. Do we? Like,
David,
sorry, it only works on the latest.
No, don't even. David says, have you tried the new Apple Vision Pro? No, none of us have. That's expensive for all of us here.
Man.
Micah says, opinions on Palworld getting help to scale up by Microsoft. Do you think this is to try to make Game Pass more appealing? I don't know what that means. Oh, you mean because they're behind on a patch. By the way, Micah, that's a good question. It's not the only game that's been behind on the console versions. In fact, it's many titles that you will get on the console are behind the PC, including Elite, which they dropped all support for the console versions not recently, within the last year and a half. So it's happened before. Getting help from Microsoft makes sense. That's who you're supposed to get help from. So yeah. I think Palworld's doing so well, Microsoft wants it to do well, too. Microsoft probably said, we're going to send some ninjas to your house to help you guys. Like, they want it to do well. German says, what do you guys think is the reason Sony hasn't fully embraced the PC demographic yet? Man, I don't know. I feel like their leaked
they are in their own way.
And what we've got for remakes, I personally would say I feel that for a first-party company that's known for their exclusives, they've embraced it better than I think most people, not better, more than.
Better than Nintendo.
I think it's now pretty much the...
more than Nintendo.
Oh, God.
I mean,
dude,
that's the answer. What was
Has
Johnny?
Nintendo released anything on PC? Sorry,
Dude, we've talked, Reg and I talked about this. There was a Mario something.
Mobile game?
Yeah, it wasn't even a premiere. It's like Nintendo giving out little dumplings. Wait, Pokemon, right? Wasn't there a Pokemon Snap or something? No, there was a major Pokemon on cell phones, right? Because the Pokemon Go.
Well,
right?
yeah, that's a purely mobile game.
But I mean,
that's true.
That's one of their.
It's technically a
title they're known for. What were you going to say, Johnny? Sorry.
Well, I think it's changed. I think now there is an expectation that like Sony games will come out to PC maybe a year or two after.
Absolutely agree.
For the most part, like for the big ones.
And wrapping this up, Xbox financials seems they're doing pretty well. This is from Spetsu, by the way. Everybody listen, Spetsu. That is the proper pronunciation, not SP3CU, which I've called him for years. Microsoft is doing well. A lot of that's based around the Activision financials. But, yep. Cloudcutter says, Persona 5 blew my mind. It felt like 3 games in one package. Can you name a game that had way more content than you expected?
I mean, okay, Infinite Wealth, I expected it to have a lot of content because they talked about it.
True.
It's a good point. But it has a lot, right? Does it have so more than you expected? Because it does for me, even with all their stuff. Yeah.
yeah, probably. Because 50 hours and still in chapter 6. So it's, what's a game that had more than I expected?
There's a game on the 360, and I believe I'm going to get the name wrong, but anybody can find it. I believe it's called Vikings of Asgard or Viking of Asgard, and we did the entire land, all this stuff. We played about 12 hours, and we were like, man, we're getting near the end. And it's like, that's island number 1. And then they flew you down to number 2, and we were like, what the fuck? It was one of those moments where you felt like you got $120 worth of game for 60. So that would have been, that's probably my main answer. Any from you, Johnny?
I think Baldur's Gate 3, even though it's a pretty obvious one, obviously we knew it was going to be big. It was
huge, though.
But as someone who played like Divinity Original Sin 2 and spent 110 hours in it, I spent a lot more in Baldur's Gate. I expected something of, like the same size, but Act 1 was already like
Act 1 was a game.
It's like 40 hours, 50 hours, 40 hours. So
Absy, you haven't even finished Baldur's, right? Because you got to Act 3 and then petered out, right?
Yeah, I never really. Yeah, I don't know what it is. I never really I tried to turn
a lot of people fall off in Act 3 because it just like the pacing is very different. Yeah,
it's too messy. Maybe one day I'll return. It's just every time and then I started a new character once, like a Dark Urge, and I was like, oh, I have to do all this again.
Now it's a Skyrim situation. You're starting characters.
Ulibon has a good answer, guys. Nier Automata. That game surprised me basically 3 campaigns.
Sure.
Nier Automata is a great example.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's an amazing example.
By the way, Nier Automata, little more behind the scenes baseball, is one of the reasons why I never hold off on playing a game getting close to embargo, and I play it as soon as I get it, because that is what happens. You never know.
It's gonna be.
Lucitan, Prince of Persia reports mention it only sold 300,000 copies. Is this game suffering the same issue as Phoenix Rising did, and minimal marketing done by Microsoft, even though it was well received? Damn, Lucitan. By the way, second or third week with a good question. I just want to shout out the grumpy man of our Discord.
Dude, Prince of Persia. Did we
Prince
talk
of
about
Persia's
fantastic?
No, Johnny and I covered it. You weren't here on Friday. Johnny and I covered
it. had a very small spotlight. It was a few days where everybody was playing it, and it completely faded away, sadly.
Yeah.
But what a fantastic game, dude. Such a good. I didn't expect the combat to be that good. The combat was so good, so well designed. Juggling enemies and the moves you can do, and it's one of the only Metroidvanias that really just it didn't get old, man. It's just really fun, man. Just a really fun game. I don't know. I mean, I expected it not to do as well as their big games, their big titles. Obviously, I didn't expect it to do that bad. Maybe a lot of people, they didn't count the people that subscribe to Ubi Plus to play it.
They didn't.
Because I think a lot of people did that because it was like a $50 game, and obviously, listen, I think it might have been worth $50, but when you go and see what games are today, and then you see like a side scroller, you'd expect it to be less than $50, right? So I feel like a lot of people just did, but it's a really, really.
Can I also point out that game was not talked about? It was actually the other Prince of Persia for months and months and months, and then they announced it as sort of a surprise. So this game didn't have near as much time to percolate in people's brains as the other Prince of Persia that's been delayed and disappeared. So this one is more of a surprise. So 30,000, it might be well within what they expected. I have no clue how their financials are, but that one came out of. You're not even Prince of Persia in it.
No,
I mean, not that you have to be, but it's it's obviously a side game, so I don't know.
And just the fact that you can just take a screenshot of some place and have it displayed on the map. I think all Metroidvanias need to do that.
I almost had a heart attack, man. That dog scared the shit out of me. Sorry if you guys heard that. I apologize.
Yeah.
No, you're right. Yeah, the screenshot thing. I had some issues with the combat. I didn't love it as much as you. I liked it. I thought it was enjoyable. I had a big glitch, which I found out later. The glitch I was complaining about was a glitch many people experienced, including game dev. So I feel like that was nice because I thought it was bad game design. Very bad. And I was like, this is terrible. And then found out it was just a glitch I had where I got past a semi-boss I shouldn't have been able to. So, yeah. Karak misread Ubisoft with MS. Did I say MS? I apologize. Marketing done by Ubisoft for Prince of Persia. But anyway, yeah. I don't know, man. We'll have to see. I think 300,000 feels in this current day and age. I think 300,000 for a side scroller that didn't have a ton of PR probably isn't
that bad. Not taking into account the people that just sub like me that just subbed to the Ubi Plus service to play it. Oh no, I don't own the game, but I played it and I had fun. So
I don't know of anybody.
I lost ownership.
I don't know anybody who bought Prince of Persia. By the way,
they did the same thing. I mean,
I think everybody did. Right? I don't know of a single person in our Discord
I know
and a bunch of people played it. A bunch of people did the sub. Lucitan says Sony has a knack of abandoning handhelds because they always somehow seem to F up with their he's answering somebody else. State of Play, Absy says, Infinite Wealth Judas, Death Stranding, this was all Johnny. I think we've hit them all. Let me look one more time. Deus Ex. The only other thing, and we can finish this up here. First of all, thank you everybody for showing up. I absolutely appreciate it. Sorry about the dog. Burnout Paradise Remastered team is teasing the series revival. What, did I fuck something up?
Yeah. No, I just, for everyone who hates me after this podcast, you can find me on Twitter and DM me all you want.
But Burnout Paradise Remastered Studios teasing a series revival. And one of the things we were talking about is, do you guys remember Burnout Paradise's world wasn't huge? It was very good. Dude. It was very enjoyable, but it wasn't huge. But I was like, wouldn't it be cool to have like Burnout Paradise in smaller segments, like 1, 2, and 3, where like the crew, but less years between them, where it's like Burnout Paradise entire gameplay systems, but in a new location every year or something like that. I would buy into that for a while. I like Burnout Paradise. I think it's a great racing game.
Yeah, and I think we're not getting those goofy like racing games anymore. You know, we're not getting much like in terms of, we're just getting the
like Blur.
The only open world one is like Forza, right?
Oh, Blur. Yeah. Well, open world and the Crew 3, Abzi, which did well. The Crew Motorsport.
Yeah. I didn't even. Yeah, there's the Crew. But like it's mostly realistic-ish, like, right? I mean, Crew does some crazy shit, but I'm not getting any goofy ones. Remember Midnight Club, where you can do this Noah thing where you can like separate cars or like go slow motion and shit.
Yeah, the arcade racer, I guess.
Yeah, arcade racing game and stuff. We don't, arcade or like the open world ones where you can customize them, put like neon and shit, crazy with hydraulics.
Gunter says, Abzi, I don't hate you. I disagree with you.
Yeah. I know, but I was trying to get everyone riled up who, because I know there's a lot of people who are super passionate about that topic and owning their games and stuff, which is fair,
I like owning whatever I buy, but I also am not.
I just feel like
in that I don't.
Yeah, because I feel like there's so much stuff in life that I don't truly own, but I use every day, and I don't care about. Because usually for me, I don't
for a lot of stuff, you don't have to own it. Like I don't have to own Prince of Persia. Like, I don't, I'll play it. And
a lot of stuff I play once.
Well, I think that's what Abzi was saying earlier too, which is a good point, which is like a movie. Unless you're me, I love to rewatch, but I know almost everybody that I know, other than you guys who rewatch shows, most people don't rewatch movies a lot, and they watch it one time.
Yeah, and if I love something so much, I will. Like Stargate SG-1, I have the whole collection,
But it's a show, right? Don't you think that might be the difference? There's something about that movie thing where a show is different.
Or maybe like Lord of the Rings, like
true.
Myself, I always watch it every year. So
do you?
There's some exceptions. Yeah,
I've stopped watching that one
around Christmas.
Oh yeah, you said that's your Christmas movie, right?
Yeah.
So you don't do a Christmas movie? You do Lord of the Rings? Do you do?
I do those three.
Do you do like Bad or Santa? Like any kind of actual Christmas movie?
No, gotcha. Absolutely not.
Absolutely. It's like I hate Christmas, but I love Lord of the Rings in December. Well, that will be it for us. Thank you, everybody, for sitting down, watching. Thanks for the new people jumping into YouTube. I do appreciate it. We don't do sponsors here, so it always helps. Thanks to these guys for showing up every single time. Did they mention Embracer Group killing Piranha? No, we haven't, because it's not fully done yet. So I know that is a thing, though. I do want to say how much I appreciate you guys. Sorry that the videos have been less, but without power for 10 days, we finally got it sort of up and running, and still are coming out the financial back into that. But you guys will see a review from me. Let me look. For sure next week. Nope. Week after for sure. Next week, most likely, maybe a preview video or something like that. Missed out on a bunch of codes that I didn't get. I did see somebody who was like, how dare you not review, like, I can't remember, just insert a game name here. If I don't have a code, I'm going to have to buy it. And currently, right now, I'm too busy trying to pay for a generator so I can have Steam next time power goes out, so I can fight Abzi over this physical ownership bullshit. I'm just joking. What else do we got before we wrap it up? Anything? Anything big?
Big.
Anything small?
What do we have? Games small. We have Pacific Drive that I'm really excited for.
Pacific Drive's coming out, yeah.
It's coming out.
Drive looks awesome. I'm excited for that one, man. Dude, the preview of that was fucking
Inventory
wicked.
Tetris.
Yeah, I'm excited for Sons of the Forest this month. It's coming out like 1.1.
1.0 is coming out?
Yeah, it's the follow-up to
Yeah, it's the second. I love The Forest, by the way. It's like one of my favorite survival games. So that's coming out like fully.
Building. Yeah,
it's 1.0. Yo, let's go, dude. Let's
Karak,
go.
Don't shake your head at me, okay?
That one, no. It had cool shit. Like you had this companion that was like, was he dumb, Johnny? Did you play
he can't speak. He like writes.
He like writes on a note.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey man, we need more. We need more games coming out to 1.0.
Yeah, it's good.
No, we need more games coming out at 1.0. You believe in no physical. I believe in no point or prior point 1.0.
Hey, I didn't say it.
You stated you hate physical and you hate people, and I stated I saw some Sons of the Forest. I watched stream it, I believe, and it was just the opposite of everything I like in games. It was just not for me.
Dude,
but it looked pretty good.
Listen, man, the first one just had. Listen, man, you know. Dude, it had a crazy weird story. It had really cool like caves and shit, and those like super unpredictable enemies.
It was really, very cool.
It did really cool shit, man. I'm not a huge fan of survival games, but The Forest was sick.
Yeah, that's a good one for sure. And
remember that one time when Abzi was saying he doesn't listen to people when they talk about stuff he doesn't care about? I did not hear the last 3 sentences.
You're nodding off.
Go ahead, Johnny. What were you gonna say?
No, just that this is one where I skipped the early access stuff.
Did you completely?
And I was so I was just waiting for it to come out because I knew I wanted to.
Yeah, that's Sons of the Forest. I didn't even buy it because I was waiting for 1.0.
Yeah.
Okay, before we finish, I do have to ask. Sorry, this is going to go longer, but I just have to ask. I don't understand. What do you like? It's the same thing as so many other.
Yeah.
Whatever makes you look at Sons of the Forest and say that's the one that I want?
Well, it has a really unique like atmosphere with the cannibals, threatening you, and the mystery of like what the hell are they?
Right.
And trying to understand.
I know the story was crazy.
Survive. Yeah, it was some.
So is it like horror survival? Is that why you like it?
Yeah. No, in real talk, like I actually enjoyed it because it felt like the exploration was super rewarding, and you'd like bump into like story things, and then it like keep unraveling, and you're like, what the fuck? There's way more than because at face value, you land on an island like Lost. Yeah. And you're like, oh, it's just a survival game, and then it becomes like more and more, Yeah, and I just had good memories with friends. Probably that's probably more of it. It's probably the fact that I had like good memories with friends.
And you can become a cannibal yourself. So there you go. If you always wanted to.
And they had a cool inventory thing where it's like in-game inventory, like Metro did it.
You have your backpack, and then when you open the inventory, it's like you're taking the shit out of the backpack, and maybe you take a stick with a thing and you create
where you punch trees and
dude, everything you're describing is so
combine it with a stone.
It's triggering me.
Listen to this.
It's like there's inventory Tetris and punching trees. Wow.
Dude, you can get one stick and combine it with 2 stones and make an axe, which lets you cut trees faster. And you have like the stamina bar, and you can eat food and drink water.
So I actually have an eye twitch right now.
Okay, I got one.
Like, shut
no.
No, the logs. You have to like move logs manually and shit. Like you have to pick up the logs and like.
No, but I got the selling point here for Karak. You can build a tree house.
You can build a tree house.
It didn't work.
No, it didn't work, man. It didn't work. That is. It is funny because like when you, there's so many of them. The raft.
Yeah.
The creek.
Raft is dope though. Raft is come on.
It's good, dude.
It's unique. It's very
raft
unique.
Is not unique, and it is not good.
Raft is, dude, all right. You have a raft though, and you build the raft.
There's like a massive dome to explore. It's
by the way,
insane.
I legitimately can't tell if you're fucking with me or not. Like
no, raft is seriously one of the unique ones, man.
Dude, the story in the raft is good. It takes you to like a giant dome to
humanly
explore.
impossible that you guys are not fucking with me right now. The raft is.
Fucking with you. I'm serious.
Dude, you could build this amazing, and you visit
dude,
like
you're
some
on
awesome...
water. Like you're.
Are you joking?
No.
What you're describing is every game in the world. I don't understand what's happening right now. You're on a raft and you can none of this is unique.
But raft is unique because you're like there's like garbage on there's garbage on the water, and you can like you like take all the you like clean the water, but also use it to like make
You're not helping, Abzi. This sounds like chores.
I laughed so hard that I'm getting like my
sounds
abs
not only does it sound like chores, it fucking legitimately sounds like he's saying it on purpose, and he's listed everything I don't like about games.
Because while I'm saying stuff, I'm like finding it super funny how I'm explaining it to you in the worst possible way.
It has a cool story that takes you to interesting places to explore. It's not all taking place in the raft itself. Raft. So you go, there's like a huge dome with like a city inside that's really cool to explore. So there's like a story that takes you to places.
Okay. All right.
But you're right. The central like gameplay is around the raft floating in the water. So
but no game has done that.
It is.
Like you're like
no
you make
game
the
has
raft
made
bigger.
you a rock. It doesn't mean it's good right away. Like that's what I'm trying to say. Is I'm like I don't understand why you're saying you've chosen the fucking raft out of all of these survival games. Why is the raft above? You know,
it's very satisfying because you're adrift
on a raft
in the raft, and you're like.
I legitimately can't tell now this entire time if you guys are fucking with me or not. The Raft on Steam. Let me verify this is the game I think. It is a game I think. It's got high reviews.
You can fish. You can fish. You're on the water.
It's so funny because everything we say can be taken under like a really negative.
Yeah, it's like, and what's funny is I get what you mean. Like, if I say something I dislike, it doesn't mean I'll dislike it in every game. But what you guys are describing is like my list of shit I hate.
It's funny because like, everything we're trying to say as a selling point, it's like
sounds terrible. By the way, yeah, like you guys should never work for fucking PR.
But you can
fish. Exactly.
You start off with a raft like this. And like 30 hours in, it's like a 3-story. You have like a farming section. And you have like a section where you cook all your food.
Did you just try to sell me that it took you 30 hours to build a bigger raft? You just said it took you 30 hours to build a bigger raft. That is not a selling point.
Like a massive raft, though. Like a really big raft.
So anyway, everybody, goodbye. We're leaving. Have a good time. See ya. End of stream.